All personnel, clear the launch platform.
All personnel, clear launch platform.
The Leaving Today podcast, the show about the news, history, and attractions of the Disneyland Resort.
Well, come on, Wendy. Let's go.
But where are we going?
To Neverland.
Neverland.
Hello, and hello. Welcome to episode number 178. If you can't tell, there's a lot of ambient noise in the background.
And why is that, Mark?
Because we are deep below Sacramento at a store called Stage 9. And what's going on today is Stage 9 is celebrating Disney's 100th year as a company. And they put together like 3 or 4 really interesting guest panelists, and also procured quite a few art pieces from around the park itself. Mm-hmm. So right now, Udi and I are sitting in this, it's called The Vault in Old Town Sacramento. And if I could describe this section, it is like a basement, and each of the 4 walls it's covered with Disney artifacts, Disneyland artifacts, mm-hmm. Disney art, Disney props. Right there's a ride vehicle for Snow White.
Yep.
Behind us is a door of a monorail.
Yep.
And then what else can you say about this
Park
place?
bench.
Oh, there's a park bench right behind Udi.
Yep.
And there's a stage over here where there's going to be some guest speakers signing books and whatnot. And we're going to do some interviews throughout the course of this show. So if it's jumpy, I apologize, but that's just how it's going to work. And we can't really control the background noise.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is what we're doing today. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And when Troy comes by, Troy's the owner, So we just got done doing an interview, and it's going to be out of sequence. So
yeah.
But Udi and I are still kind of on this high.
Yep.
Because we don't really get to meet. Well, everyone we meet is fantastic, but
yep.
sometimes you get that little extra magic, mm-hmm. and that was really with our guest, with Tanya. She was there, helped to design New Orleans Square, worked with all these Disney legends, and is there to live the tale. She's there to talk about it now and share her stories. And, it just makes me so happy that we are a part of this community.
Yep.
Sometimes people laugh and go, "Oh, you guys do a Disneyland podcast," but to me, this is what this is all about. It's like connecting and sharing stories, and I feel like we belong.
Well, absolutely. And the beauty of it, and we talk about a lot about the park itself, is the reasons why is because you can connect.
Yeah.
So you connect with people. And these events and things of this nature help bring that up, that we have a connective tissue that we can all be. And, my thought is always the same. We need to find more things to be together about. And
yes.
This is one of the things we can all come together about, regardless of anything. So that's one of the beauties of what Walt created. And we continue to celebrate 100 years later.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. And that is really what this is about. And
yep.
If Troy gets a moment, he can come talk to us real quick. And
we're gonna try to grab as many of these people as we can. They have 4 different speakers. I know we're gonna get one of our personal favorite people on the planet, Marcy.
Oh, yes.
And she's gonna come chill with us. And so that'll be good.
Yeah,
she's walking right by. But
anyway. She's walking right by. So the way this is not going to be a traditional LTP show, nope. But it will be one of the shows. So we're not going to do the news, although there's tons of news to talk about. And the randomizer will not show up today.
Nope.
No. But this is just pretty much a celebration of Disneyland and the Disney Company.
Yep.
So I assume the next guest we're going to have on, we're going to jump to. We got to find that person.
Yep. We'll find out.
Hey, LTP listeners, so we're going to welcome our first guest today right now. Very honored to be sitting next to Tanya McKnight Norris, one of the Disney Imagineers, although we learned they really weren't called Imagineers back then.
Yep.
But here we are today, 63 years later, sitting next to Tanya. How's it going?
Very well, thank you, and thank you for inviting me to be here.
Of course. Thank you for
Our
taking
pleasure.
Yeah, definitely our pleasure. So why don't you give our listeners a little bit of a background, how you got started with Disney, or maybe even like before that?
Well, I did my training as an interior designer in London, and coming to America, I never expected to be part of a Disney organization, but about a year after I arrived, a friend called and told me of a job at Disney. It was to do interiors for New Orleans Square. And she said, it's just, something you could do. And I said, oh, yeah, right. And but I did apply, and my husband and I went to Disneyland on the Sunday just to say we'd been there, really, because we hadn't. And on the Wednesday, I had an interview. Thursday, I had an interview. And Friday, they called me and said I had a job. And I leant back in my chair and said, oh, my goodness, McKnight, what have you done? And I started to work there, of course. Bob Brown, who was Walt Disney's son-in-law, was my immediate boss. He was the art director in charge of interiors. And about a year later, I was asked if I would like to travel with Walt and his wife, Lily, and Roy, his brother, and his wife, Edna, Bob Brown and his wife Sharon, the daughter, and several others like John Hench and Herb Ryman and Claude Coates and all the people you've heard about.
I'm just kind of shaking here. I'm getting little chills.
I know.
Honestly, all these names I've heard through all the books, and you were like with them, hanging out with them.
Yeah, these were people I worked with every day. They were many of them were my friends, and the trip consisted of New Orleans, where we did research, of course, for New Orleans Square, and we bought many of the antiques that became part of New Orleans Square, and also the original Club 33.
Nice.
And from there we went to Florida for one of the only two times that Walt actually landed in Florida. Oh. And it was still just swampland and trees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bill Evans, who was the horticulturist for Disney, he was with us.
Oh, man.
And he had brought trees from around the world that were in Florida at that time to harden off so they'd be ready when the property was ready.
Okay.
And then we went from New Orleans into New York for the second year of the World Fair.
Okay.
And Walt, throughout that trip, was so kind to me, because in New Orleans he made sure that we went to a different restaurant every evening and for lunch, so that I would get the flavor and research. Uh-huh. And then in New York that we would travel each day to a different route to the World Fair, so that I would see New York.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was the trip there, and I did many projects, of course, during the years I worked there, and ended up with the Haunted Mansion, which I suppose I'm best known for nowadays, much to my surprise.
Did you think the Haunted Mansion was that big of a deal when you were working on it then?
No, I don't think any of us realized that any of it was as big a deal as it has become. I mean, we were doing a job, and I got a whole $125 a week for it. I mean, it was...
That's awesome.
So, but no, it's a major surprise, and I had nothing to do with Disney for 50 years. So when I did start to be kind of discovered, and people started to talk to me about my years with working with Walt, and I happened casually to mention that I designed the purple wallpaper. The whole thing came to a stop.
Oh, I know.
Can you believe that?
Because nobody knew who had done that. And I said, well, I did. And it's, I can remember sitting at my desk doodling the kind of design, and then the first time I saw it in the Haunted Mansion before it actually opened, I looked at it and said, I designed that.
Yeah.
Because it was so rare for any of us to be able to say we designed one thing. We did it as a group.
Right.
We'd have an art director, we'd have a sketch artist, we'd have an architect, a whole group of us, and we'd brainstorm, and that's when we got the ideas. That's how things happened. And so for me to be able to say I actually designed something was quite rare. We never signed anything. I mean, it was not an ego trip for us. It was a job.
It was a job.
Yeah.
What was your first impression of Disneyland when you went there on that Sunday with your husband?
Well, I didn't really see that much of it, to be honest. We went down Main Street. We wandered into a few of the shops. We went to Fantasyland. We had a hot dog, and we wandered back. That was my visit to Disneyland,
Wow.
my
Okay.
first visit. But I could say, yes, I've been to Disneyland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you really weren't so much into theme parks at that point?
No, I had no idea what it was, really.
Okay.
I think the reason I was hard was because of my knowledge of antiques and traditional interiors.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is a little rare, or was at that
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
So it was not something that it was something they needed.
Oh, yeah. So you really helped out with New Orleans Square, the whole design.
Yes.
And go ahead.
No. I just want to say that is amazing because of we all have our little place in the park that we really enjoy, and that happens to be one of my favorite. I like everything, but New Orleans Square is it's kind of out of the vein of what the rest of the park kind of sits, and so unique because it's more based on reality.
I was about to say that's the only part I think all the theme parks that really is based on reality. Everything else is combination or is fantasy.
Yep.
Fantasy. Yeah, and that land, it's the only park that has that land, and every park is slightly jealous, I
Yeah.
think, because we are blessed to have such an awesome land to go in.
Yeah, it's changed over the years, as is natural, but it still has the essence of New Orleans as we created it back in the 1960s. And of course, Club 33 was one of also the things that I worked on, the original one. That has changed dramatically too. But
So what aspects of Club 33 did you work on?
the interiors,
Yep.
choosing the furniture, the colors, the fabrics, the whole design decor. I mean, it was a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
But we bought a lot of the antiques, as I said, in New Orleans specifically for it.
Okay.
And that too has changed dramatically over the course of the last 60 years.
Changed for the better, you think, or?
Or changed totally differently. It's now
Okay.
got an Art Nouveau motif, which there is an ordinance in New Orleans. I don't know if it's still in effect, but it was when I was working that there would be no Art Nouveau in the Vauqueray in the Old Town in New Orleans. So we adhered to that very
Okay.
strictly.
Yeah.
And but the new club is definitely Art Nouveau. So.
We have not been blessed enough to go into the club
No.
yet.
Well, even the doors on the street have an Art Nouveau motif.
Okay.
So, but it's different time, different people, different
Yeah.
way of thinking.
Yep.
And so you have to accept that things get changed.
Oh yeah, for sure. Going back to the wallpaper again, when you designed it, did you think it was going to be purple and black, or did you want it to have a different color?
No, that was the original color.
Okay.
And thinking about it, because people ask me why purple. Well, I've tried to think of another color that I think is spooky.
No, I agree. It captures, it adds to the whole thing. I mean, when you talk about the mansion, for me, it's a live entity, correct? The building, everything you're doing, it's completely alive.
Yeah.
When you walk up where, daytime is one feel, definitely at night it adopts an entire different feel. And when you go in, having that wallpaper is one of the things that, I don't know, I always gravitated to. My history with Haunted Mansion as a little kid, scared. Don't go in, ghost, and the whole thing. Now as an adult, it is one of my favorite attractions. I often finish my day at the park in that attraction. And just having your wallpaper there and having that design just like pulls you in, and the coloring and everything just helps like the whole vibe of the whole entire attraction from beginning to end.
Well, I think there are two things that you've just touched. One is that your attention to detail, and many times when I'm talking to people, I try to tell them, please, look at all the detail, look at the tradition behind what we've done, look at the research, think of the people that worked on it. Leave a lot of the magic to the children, but think of what actually you're looking at and experiencing. And to me, that is part of the magic in itself, that we have managed to create this that has become so beloved.
Yeah.
And by the way, Stage 9, where we're recording right now in Sacramento, they have an incredible exhibition of 100 items to do with Disney, to celebrate the 100 years of Disney. And two of the items are actually original things from the original Haunted Mansion. One is a piece of lace glass curtaining, and another is a piece of wallpaper that was in the main stretch room
Okay.
from the original room.
Yeah.
And things again have changed. They're not all as I had put in,
Right.
but they're similar in context because we wanted everybody so far has kept the theme and the feeling, although the attic has changed. I love the attic I did. I bought all the attic junk from a friend from her attic. And it was a real attic full of stuff. And I really loved that, but it's changed obviously over the years.
Yeah. I just, we do, Udi and I, when we go to the park, we do spend time looking at colors and themes and artwork and props, and none of it is lost on us. I can tell you that much.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I've got two daughters who are in their early 20s now. We go to the park often, and they still want to run around and do stuff, but I'm like, no, guys, you got to stop and look at everything. Look at why is this here? Why is this color here? And just appreciate all the labor and love that went into building this park. And
There's an excellent book that Marcy Caracas Smothers, whom I think you're going to interview, wrote, and it's a very inexpensive paperback that I think is called Walk in the Park with Walt.
Yes.
And it goes into many of the hidden treasures that are in the park, many of which I didn't know or had forgotten because I had nothing to do with Disney for 50 years.
Right.
And your memory does get a little lax after that. But one of the things to me that was so exciting was to see some of the original music machines that he had bought. He bought a collection, and there's one wonderful one in the Pendleton shop that very few people ever see.
Yep.
And so it's quite exciting to see that. And we put our nickel in, and Marcy and I danced to it.
I love that.
We had a blast.
Oh, awesome.
So,
have you been? So you've been in the park a lot since?
no, maybe 3 times.
Maybe?
3 times.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you what your favorite attraction was.
Well, the day that I went was actually with Marcy Caracas Smothers, who's become a very dear friend.
Yes.
She's
And
amazing.
it was, yes,
Yeah.
it was my first visit in 50 years,
Okay.
and it was a perfect day.
Yeah.
It was supposed to rain, and it didn't. The trees were in full bloom. Every ride, and many of them I had not been in, a few of them I had been in, but not for 50-something years.
Okay.
But every ride we were in, and we came out, something good was happening. The Small World, the clock was chiming.
Oh, beautiful.
Awesome.
Others, there were talents walking by or some special thing. And then the very last was the Mr. Lincoln, which had changed, and it was so emotional. I thought it was incredibly well done. And we came out from there, and the quartet had just, Dapper Dans had just arrived, and they had just walked onto the steps of the station, and the band had started to play
beautiful.
as the beginning of the lowering of the flag.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean, just walking out into that was a perfect ending to a magical day, and it really was a magical day because it was just perfection. And one of the every time I would go down there to work, you're always looking at detail. You're looking at what the people are watching, or always doing something.
Yeah.
You're not just enjoying it. But that day, truly, I really felt the magic of Disneyland.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well,
Getting chills thinking about
no,
this.
I think, and that kind of day is what makes that park so different from anything. And we talk about it often, the vibe and the feel, and we talk to other people who love the park, and they always say it feels like home, and they always a sense of magic, and all those things are missed on a lot of people, and that's why when that happens, you can realize that it just heightens the whole experience. And I think that's what one of the beauties of what Walt created was that right there, having the ability to create memories out of nothing, maybe not tangible, physical, but having the feelings and the emotion that you get from all those little tiny things happening. Yeah.
Yeah. I think each person brings their own series of memories from the park because each part is different, and each time you go through a ride, you see something different.
Totally.
Yeah, so it's an amazing place. I was part of the group that started to do the original concepts for Walt Disney World, but I had not been there until a month ago.
Oh, wow.
And that was my
Yeah.
first trip.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember it as as I said, on my trip to New Orleans, it was just flat land.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, it's enormous, and all the trees have grown up, and but it's just an amazing place too.
It is, yeah.
So, and I was staying at the one with all the animals, Animal Kingdom Lodge. And I mean, see a giraffe walking outside my bedroom door in the morning was really quite something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't see that too often.
No.
So you spent the day with Marcy at Disneyland. I assume food was part of it, since she's really into food.
Oh yeah, but she is a tremendous Disney historian.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's really her thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Just started with the food, but yes, she's a food geek, but she's also an enormous Disney geek. I mean, I've learned so much from her.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such a pleasure to have as a friend, and just escort around Disneyland and Disney World. She was there too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's
Incredible.
yeah. So but it's this whole meeting the fans is something very special, because it's not a part of my world, and to find that they are so enthusiastic and so appreciative of what we have done.
Absolutely. 100%.
It's very, very flattering, and it's very humbling, because no one, I think, especially when I was working there, would have thought this would be such a phenomena.
Right.
It was just a job. It was exciting in many respects. I mean, I was working with Mark Davis and Herb Ryman and John Hench and Mary Blair. I did the color corrections for her tiles when she wasn't in town. Rolly Crump.
Yeah.
All of the people that are legends now, Bob Gurr.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're all just a part of my life and part of my friends. Working with them, it wasn't thought of as anything special.
No.
Well, I think it's very, very, very special.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I do now.
Yeah.
But yes, it was a wonderful world.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
I don't know how much time you have.
well, I don't know about your time.
Oh,
no, we have all the time in the world.
I know this is supposed to start at 11.
Yeah.
And I want to be respectful.
It's 11 right now.
I think I better so. But thank you so much for your interview.
Oh, of course. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
taking
much.
time. I feel very honored to meet you.
Absolutely,
And hopefully we can talk again soon.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Best of luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we get Okay, here we are. Welcome to episode number 178, the Leave In Today podcast. We are doing live at Underground Sacramento
Correct.
at Stage 9 at
Yep.
the Vault. We just got done with an interview with a very special guest, so you're going to hear that later.
Yep.
And honestly, I'm still buzzing right now
Yep.
because it's very rare we get to sit next to Disney royalty.
Yeah, legends.
Legends.
Legit legend.
And if you can see, Udi's got a great smile on his face.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Which is very rare for him. But Marcy just walked in right
Yep.
now, one of our friends, so we're going to say hi to her.
Yep.
All right, LTP listeners, we're having another guest right now. And as I said before the show, we're going to be coming in and out and doing guests, and this is where we are. No stranger to the show, a friend, family member of the LTP. It's Marcy Kirkus Mothers. Hello, Marcy.
Well, guys, and here we are in Sacramento. Now I'm in your hometown,
Yeah.
so it's so great to be here.
Yes, the last time we actually saw you face to face, we met you in your office in the Plaza Inn.
That's right. I have a lot of offices when I write at Disneyland, but that has power right there, right? So
Yeah.
the two tables on the outside on the patio either side, there's an outlet there. So, and it's quiet. And my friend Steve Valkenburg, shout out to Steve, I think 45 years now as a cast member. He's one of the managers at the Plaza Inn. And if any of the LTP family have not gone to the Plaza Inn and asked to speak to Steve, this is my top recommendation for today, because he knows all the history about the restaurant and he can show you where Walt's table was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I did not know about this. So if I'm walking into the Plaza Inn and I go find a seat or something, can I ask one of the hostess can I talk to Steve?
Yes. I highly advise asked for Steve Valkenburg. Okay, I'm going to tell a story. Oh, I'm telling you, as a Walt historian, it's made me cry. But a friend of mine had said, she was in the parks, and I was in the parks too, but working, and she said, where do you think I should eat? We met in Frontierland. And I said, well, the obvious questions, it's so hard. What type of food do you like? Do you want to sit down and relax? You're on the go. She goes, no, we want a quiet place. And I said, well, for Walt history, you really cannot beat the Plaza Inn. And I told her about the fried chicken, if you want me to tell the fried chicken story. And I said, ask for Steve, and he'll tell you where Walt's table is.
Okay.
So she goes, and Steve's not there.
Oh.
And so she gets a cast member, and she said, excuse me, can you please tell me where Walt's table is? And she says, I don't know who Walt is or where he sits.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So, poor thing. I'm sure it was just a young, new trainee. I'm really not dissing on that. That happens. Not everybody,
Sure.
it was the easy mistake. She really thought they were asking about, Walt, one of the guests. So, anyway, but of course, you guys know that I want everyone to know everything about Walt Disney history and the importance of that restaurant to him. So, when I say this is where Walt's table is, it was at some time Walt's table. What Steve was really careful to say is, lot is lost. He hasn't been there that long. He may have sat at other tables, but you see photos with him, and if you
Sure.
match them,
Mm-hmm.
so you walk in. See how, Mark, it took me so long to get to your answer. It was a simple question.
Yep.
If I walk into the Plaza Inn, where's
Where
Walt's
do I go?
table? And
Yeah.
you got another. Whatever thesis from me. So you walk in, and then you see where they make the salads. Which, by the way, when the Cobb salad is in with the Thousand Island dressing, great salad.
Okay, yeah.
There's two atriums, left and right, as you're facing. As you walk in, it's on the right, and it's pretty much sitting right there in front of the busing station.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
it's pretty easy to see it. It's a four-top.
Okay.
And once you see it, and if you look at some photos, including one in Eat Like Walt, you'll see that Walt's sitting there.
Okay.
So, pretty cool.
Another question, a question about the Plaza Inn. Prior to Club 33, isn't that where they had special meetings in that building?
Yeah, I had two. So if you're looking at the Plaza Inn on the right-hand side, across from the baby station and first aid, you'll see these old triptych-style windows. That was called the Disney Room and the Hideout. I found a memo in 1949 where Walt says, it was a thing about budget cuts. And imagine what they had to cut in 1954. They built it in a year, right? And he said the hideout stays, So I was always intrigued about that. So he called it the Hideout, also known as the Disney Room. And it was a big room. It could have, it had a big table. It had a private restroom. And I have the photo of that book. I didn't have that photo for Eat Like Walt, but it's in Walt's Disneyland. So you can see the scope of the room. And also, if you do go across from First Aid and the baby station, you can look in those windows and know, hey, that used to be Walt's. But what happened is when Walt took over the Plaza Inn, at first it was Swift's Red Wagon Inn.
Right.
When Disneyland opened in 1955, Walt didn't have the bandwidth to operate his feeding operations, so this was operated by Swift, right? But within 10 years, he was able to take the restaurant back. So in 1965, with Dorothea Redmond and John Hench, he redesigned the restaurant. He was very hands-on, but they realized they needed a bigger kitchen, so that became they used the space that was the Disney Room. They moved his hideout across to the other atrium, and if you go to, it was much smaller, but if you go to the Tomorrowland restrooms and you are looking in the very, very back of the wraparound porch, you can see a door that has colored stained glass, still there, same door, and that was Walt's hideout. But
Hold on, Tomorrowland Restaurant is the ones that are right out of Space Mountain?
All the way.
No, the ones at the entrance when you first come into Tomorrowland on your right-hand
Yes.
side,
Oh, okay, yeah.
adjacent to the Plaza Inn.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So, and so that only lasted a short amount of time. Then Walt passed away, obviously, in 66. It was used as a Goodyear hospitality lounge, and now it's all cut up into different pieces. But what I think is intriguing, because you're always learning, at least I am as a geek and a curious person, when I was able to go up to Walt's apartment a few years ago without answer some questions. I got to walk around. Normally when you go on the tour, you kind of one place. Now that we could talk about the new tour, I went on it. It's fantastic. Walt's Main Street story. Really great because you get about 45 minutes in his apartment and on the patio. It's significant time. Really great. But when I was looking at 2 years ago, when I could walk around, I saw the door that goes outside to his patio had a very similar multi-stain color decoration as the door in the hideout. So to me, that was a mark of Walt. There's one in his apartment and one in his hideout.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did we get on the Plaza Inn? Oh, sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
Your fault.
No, it is totally my fault.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about your National Geographic stuff. What you've been doing that 100 things, Disney Adventures, right?
100 Disney Adventures of a Lifetime. So during COVID, I was writing 2 books concurrently. I was writing my love letter to Walt's Disneyland, A Walk in the Park with Walt Disney.
Which I love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the purpose of that, when I was talking with my mentor, Disney legend Jim Cora, after Eat Like Walt, and he said, "What are you going to do next?" And I said, "I want to write a book," and I'm saying souvenir guide to Disneyland, told him Walt's words and the people that worked with him. And he made it like he's put it at the top of the list and told me to write to Bob Weiss. And I sold that book pretty much immediately. Because the thing is, I'm going to get to Nat Geo, but I have to go tangential on you.
Of course.
The thing, the thing is there are lots and lots of fact books about Disneyland that are great, some that are not so great, but there's really a lot. I knew that we didn't need another fact book on Disneyland, and I'm not a hack book or a tip book. I save that for the influencers and that type of thing, and for the fans, to say that. But I wanted to tell the story and preserve Walt's legacy. So my whole thing is about feeling. What is the feeling that Walt wanted you to have when you're in the park? That is obviously still there, which is remarkable. What is the feeling that he wanted you to have and the emotion when you watched his movies? That was really, really important to him. And so that was the difference in my book is primary sources, all told from Walt's perspective, I think. Yeah. And then also that it's really about stories with a lot of heart and feeling that I think conveys what Walt had intended, and at least that's my hope. And I purposely made it a paperback and small, so it'd be affordable and portable. It's the same amount of work, guys, as Eat Like Walt. It's 50,000 words. It has 13,000 words in endnotes alone, and 3 years to write. Yeah. So I'm writing that one, and then I took an assignment to co-write a delicious Disney book. Okay, I don't want to be in the cookbook business. That's Pam Brandon's franchise. She's been doing it. I don't do recipes, head notes, and photos. But I did, when she asked if we wanted to collaborate, I said I would love to do something for Walt Disney World's 50th. So I wrote a treatment, pitched it, and they bought it, which was great.
Yeah.
But this was during the pandemic, so thank goodness Pam has so many long-term relationships because restaurants were closed, chefs were furloughed. She could call them, and she really did a magnificent job on that side of the book. And the beautiful food photography. And then I wrote all the stories. But of course, you know me, it had to be, how can I get Walt in here? How can I get Walt in here? It's Walt Disney World. So those 2 books had gone to print within a month of each other in June of 21. And my editor called me, Wendy Lefkon, also a dear friend, and she said, National Geographic wants to jump into the 100th anniversary game. And this is June 21, right? So it's 2 years away, not even. And I thought, first of all, I'll admit, I knew that Disney owned Nat Geo, but I wasn't aware of the circumstances. I would say when I talk to people, 95% don't know, including myself at the time, that when Disney bought 20th Century Fox, National Geographic came with it in 19.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've been with the company for like a couple years. Now they want to do a 100th type book. And I said no. I really did. I'm like, I just did 2 books at a time during COVID. Very stressful, and I really wanted to relax a little bit. I mean, the old adage about I just had a baby, let me enjoy the baby I have. Well, and with twins with me, so
sure.
No. But obviously common sense prevailed, and I may have talked with you guys about this before, but my mentor, not a Disney mentor, a grandfather-like mentor from Lexington, Kentucky, used to say to me, take the cookies when they're passed, which was a Depression-era sentiment about you never know when you're going to get more cookies. So I said, all right, I'll audition. Really, she said, thinking throw my hat in the ring, et cetera, et cetera. And Wendy, my editor, said, great, I'll connect you with Allison, the Nat Geo editor, tomorrow. Well, they're in New York, so when I wake up at 6, there's already a couple emails in my box. And Allison said, hi, Marcy, blah, blah, blah. I've read Eat Like Walt. I've already chosen you, the contract attached. Honestly.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, I was like, and honestly, guys, I was like, really thought I was just going to be a protracted interview process. Right. So I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, only maybe had 10 days off since the 2 books were printing. Wow. So I said, wow, when do you need it? And she says, well, 8 months.
Oh, boy.
70,000 words in the contract.
Oh,
and
boy.
I said, I don't know. She goes, we'll have tons of support, et cetera, et cetera. So we set up a Zoom, and we just fell in love. I mean, Allison, I've got the 2 greatest editors along with Jen Eastwood with Delicious Disney that they possibly can have. And she said, this is how it's going to work. We'll have, it's called a locked layout. So Nat Geo, of course, does a lot of 100 best of dives. There's, or type of list books. And so what a locked layout means is that there's entries, and there'll be a portrait or a landscape photo on a page, and you have 600 words for that page, or 400 words, or 12. And so you write to a number. I've never written to a number. I've been lucky enough with Disney. I write till I'm happy. Whether, including in Delicious Disney, if it was a short thing, because I couldn't find any more, or a long. I've never had word count before, ever. So that was interesting, and but it was amazing because now we're having the Zooms with it turned out to be a lot of important people. I had no idea who they were. The first Zooms, and they were like, you can pick if you think you have a lot to write about X, then you can say this is a 1,200 entry or a 600. So I had a lot of latitude with that, and I'm grateful for it. So that helped to make this daunting task easier.
Yeah. Sure.
And then the photography, obviously Nat Geo's known for that, so they just had a team of photographers underneath. As I was sending things, looking for the sourcing the photos. Every other book I do, including Delicious Disney, at least with the concept art and all that, I 100% choose it myself.
Okay.
So this was an interesting process. It just how much was happening. You don't see it; it's invisible. So much had to come together. Ultimately, had a year to write it. But what I'd like to say about Nat Geo, besides I'm so grateful for the opportunity to write for them, and I can't wait to write for them again, is in those initial meetings. I say this with, tongue in cheek, but they really are a yellow rectangle. They are so smart, and but they're not particularly Disney people. And you guys know I'm not just Disney, I'm a geek, so I'm sure I was overwhelming to them in the meeting, and I kept saying, well, let me teach you what blue sky means, and let me this, and I said, but here's one thing that's super duper important to me. I want to have entries that are just adventures with Walt. And they said, what? Well, I'm a Walt historian. We need Walt in this book. We're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Walt Disney Company, Walt Disney Company, emphasis on Walt. And, I explained to them they may not be in the parks, such as the Walt Disney Hometown Museum or Walt's Barn in Griffith Park. And they said, yeah, sure, okay. So I got all my entries for Walt, and then I said, I have a dream person to write the foreword. And they said, oh, who's that? And I said, Joe Rohde. And they said, who is Joe? And that's okay, they don't know, right? So I sent them, all the information, and I thought, there's no way Joe Rohde's going to agree. Wow. I mean, he's so smart. If anyone follows Joe Rohde on Instagram, basically you're going to college every morning. You're learning so much. But Joe agreed, which was just amazing. And then we had, there is a limited edition book that's only sold on Shop Disney or in the parks. Okay. It's $100, and it's linen bound. And they were saying, we're going to make it special. And I said, well, I have a dream. Dream number 15 there. They're so sick of me. And I said, but pull out ephemera is a huge deal in the Disney world. And I said, I've always dreamed about doing a map where it would outline, can't be all the places, but many of the places that influenced and inspired Walt around the world. And they said, oh, we have 10 cartographers on staff. Do you want us to assign you one? I mean, it really was. Wow. And it ultimately became an amazing artist named Sarah Mulvaney who took my vision, along with the Walt Disney Archives, and thanks to Ed O'Valle and Kevin Kern, who helped me to choose, the right places that we are going to feature. Sure. And it's just this beautiful map that you can pull out of the limited edition. Wow. book. So that was released in October, but really intending to be a year-long celebration here in 2023 for the anniversary.
Wow.
I gotta take that in like that.
I gotta take it in.
I'm still taking it in.
Wow.
So for your Nat Geo book, what was the one thing that you learned from that? Did something that
there's a good question. There's so much that I learned because, I'm new to this. I signed my contract with Disney for Eat Like Walt in October 2015. And that's my first time in the Walt Disney Archives. So, 4 books later, plus the introduction to an American original or the prologue, which was a very high honor, my trajectory is so steep, but that just shows me there's just, as steep as it is and as hard as I work, I have so much to constantly learn.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's a lot of things about the parks that I didn't know, doing in research and,
really?
Particularly, anything about Pandora, World of Avatar, I've seen the movie, but I'm not Star Wars things, I don't really, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Apologies.
I'll forgive you.
Apologies. I know
You
where
let us slide
I'm.
this
If your listeners could see me looking down in shame.
She's like, I'm sorry.
I just admitted that to you guys. So there was a lot, and really not just what I learned that was interesting was, and I don't talk too often about the pandemic because we all, but so much was closed, we didn't know what was going to return.
Right.
And so again, Nat Geo people don't really know the park. So when I would say hoop-de-doo, and then like, oh, it's got flagged, it's not coming back, I said, please save the space. I promise you, if something's coming back, it'll be hoop-de-doo.
It just came back.
Yeah, it did. But at the time, it was still probably a year out when I was saying save the space.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to write the entry and please don't take it out. And so things like that. And then when it went to print, and of course, it'd be a different book now because the world's open, but there's maybe some other things in the future. There was when I was, like we all do, we wake up and we're reading our Disney news that Walt Disney, the trip around the world with Adventures by Disney, the jet trip had come out and the book was just going to print. And I called my editor and I said, we've got to get this in, So that's actually, not to date the date, but while we sit here at Stage 9 celebrating Disney 100, that trip is still going around the world. So we had to take something out because, and make room because I thought that is incredible. We have to include it. So my point about that is 100 Disney Adventures. Another thing I said in that first meeting with Nat Geo is it can't all be aspirational. They had already gone to several of the heads of the different departments, cruises, parks, and said, what do you think are the can't miss items? But so many of them were expensive, Adventures by Disney. Things people can't do. I said, we have to have lots and lots of free things. And they were great about it, like pin trading.
Oh, yeah.
They did not know about pin trading. I'm like, this is very important to know about pin trading. And so when we were at Expo last year for D23 Expo, was honored because, again, asked Joe Rohde if he would do it with me, and he did.
Wow. Oh, geez. Okay.
And we were like in the green room like 2 hours ahead of time before the show, and he told stories the whole time. I mean, I'm so obsessed with his genius. But anyway, I had said to my editor, if we have a Nat Geo and Disney pin, the first one ever, only at Expo, it'll slay. She goes, oh, really? You think so? I'm like, yeah. I know so. So we had everybody that bought a book, the limited edition book at D23 Expo, got the first ever National Geographic Disney pin.
Wow.
So it's just been a tremendous collaboration all around. I mean, I guess I would say in a way all three of us, Disney, Nat Geo, and Marcy as the author. It was just an incredible honor, and I've already collected all sorts of other things I would add, things that have come online that are new, like I always want to say Woody's Roundup Rodeo Barbecue.
Yeah.
Have you guys been there yet at Walt Disney World?
Oh, I'm going. I'm taking my daughters in September, and I actually just booked a reservation for that restaurant yesterday.
So great.
Is it great?
It's just so great, so immersive. It's such a thematic, also air conditioned, but it really just hits every last note for Toy Story fans.
Okay.
And the food is really good.
Okay.
So I'll give a little plug. There's on YouTube, or you can find it on my website, marcycarrackersmothers.com. But last year, I did a show called Drop in Disney that's primarily, at least the first release, is for DVC members, and then it goes on YouTube for everybody. And they invited me to be the host going to the Flavor Lab. Now, the Flavor Lab is top secret at Walt Disney World. It is the e-ticket attraction no one knows about. Essentially, they put a blindfold on you and they drive you to the entrance. They don't really, but I mean, it's a very secretive location. You can't geotag it. You can't. It's impossible. And this is where they develop not just the recipes for Walt Disney World, but the tablescapes, the plates, the cups, the menus, the style of everything.
Wow.
Oh my
it is
gosh.
among my dream jobs. And goosebumps.
Yeah.
So I had the honor to speak there for Eat Like Walt, but I hadn't done an interview with somebody. So Chef Bobby and I met at the Flavor Lab, and it's on my website, or if you do Drop in Disney Flavor Lab. And at the time, they were working on Roundup Rodeo Barbecue. And so he takes me to this development table with the little green men. I mean, he says, what do you think? I'm like, well, obviously, but I wasn't sure what I was allowed to say, even though I was on camera with permission. Yeah. But I was seeing, the plates, the porcelain white plates that look like paper plates, and seeing some of the concepts for how the food was going to be presented, and got a couple tastes, and it was just exquisite. So now I've experienced the restaurant, kind of had a backstage experience. And any of your listeners can have that backstage experience by watching the show. But yes, so that's my other very long tangential way of saying there's so many other cool things that have evolved since the book went to print. But that's always the thing. A book is never finished. It just goes to print.
Yeah.
It just never.
So there might be like a second edition?
I can't really discuss what might happen, but I'm hoping something along the lines
That'd be great.
where I will be able to, supersize it. And then I'm really, really hoping to do a 10th anniversary edition for Eat Like Walt for 27, which, I've learned so much since that book. And just, it's kind of such a unique way to talk about Walt through the lens of foods.
yeah.
But I have learned so many more stories and actually found recipes from John Hench and Disney legends John Henth and Dorothea Redmond and from Card Walker. And so for that back section, and it's never been a cookbook, which confused a lot of people, and
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
But it was all these vintage recipes that had to be in Walt's lifetime. So to find these from the people that built Disneyland with him, I think is really, really cool.
That is incredible. All right. So you mentioned about doing that tour in the park with Walt.
The Walk and Walt's Main Street USA, I believe it's called.
And you can do that now if you go to Disneyland.
You can do it now. It is pricier than the other one. I'll tell you that. It's but does have pass holder discounts, and it spends about 15, 20 minutes, I'm guessing, just going up both sides of Main Street telling stories, and they're really lovely stories. And then you go into his apartment, and you do get to take your photo where everyone usually does, by the lamp and by this. But then the cool thing is you go out onto his patio and you have snacks. But I mean, I think it's like, I'm sure every tour is probably slightly different time-wise because of the amount of people, but we had a small group. So we were there, like I said, for 45 minutes between inside the apartment taking photos, not our own photos, official photos.
Sure.
And then on the patio, and you could see Town Square, and you're having your cookies and your lemonade.
The patio in the back?
No, it's right in front.
Oh, what's in the back? Isn't there like some sort of...
The stairwell's in the back. The entrance is backstage up the stairs.
Okay.
But if you're looking at Walt's apartment to the left, there is a patio, and that was he and Lillian's private patio.
Oh, gotcha.
And so behind that is the Jungle Cruise.
Yes.
So you can hear the Jungle Cruise going, and then you hear the Main Street USA and Town Square sounds. I would personally love to be there for Flag Retreat, being that Flag Retreat's one of my favorite things to do at Disneyland.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do highly, I don't recommend things unless I do them myself and I really liked it, and I really, really liked that tour.
Okay, awesome. So any projects coming up now that you're working on that you can talk about?
Well, I'm just about, those a couple books that I have. I have I did a Behind the Attractions episode, so waiting for that to come out when the new season.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I just did. They added a food one.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to do some of the other ones about, Disneyland, but there's so many really cool. I mean, the day, there's, I don't know who's on these episodes now, but as we know in the past, they just get the A-listers who built the park, so I'm like, I'll let them do that.
Oh.
But it was really fun to talk about some of the food and some of the food history. And then I have a couple different projects that are not book related. One of them is a Can't Say project, and now there's. I wish I would, if I could, I would, but they're two divergent things that have nothing to do with books.
Gotcha.
And then, I have my pet projects, I mean, think people that I want to, I would like to do a story, just a story, an essay about the last 6 of the original 55ers, the people that built the park that are still alive. There's only 6.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say, let me take 2. People that worked at the park starting opening year 55. So Bob Penfield, who was a great book, is here on the West Coast, and then the other 5 are on the East Coast, including Sully, Billy Holscher, and Dick Nunes. And so I think that I would like to write that just for the historical purposes because they're older and they have such great stories. But in the pitch would be they all have been interviewed a million times. Would be about the 55ers, the 55ers Club, what that means, and where they are now.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Okay. So I know it's getting more lively here now, so I know you got to go sign some books or whatever. People here.
I don't know. It's getting lively here, but let me just tell you, this Disney 100 event, Disney 100 at Stage 9 is a 6-week exhibition. So until, I don't know what's 6 weeks from now, but let's see, July, all of August. So at least till the end of August, mid-September, come to Stage 9 and see, because behind me is the original doors of City Hall from opening day 1955. There is Walt's microphone that he held and used for his Tencennial speech at Disneyland. There's a monorail door. There's a Snow White ride vehicle. There is an original a speaker from the Disneyland Railroad. There's a book that's signed by tons of Disney legends. There's so much incredible. Oh, there's one of the very rare infrastructures or superstructure. No, what's it called? Armature.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was searching for that word for Mr. Lincoln at the World's Fair.
Yep.
So, and that's just little. So this is a fantastic place just to daydream, and then
yes.
and then upstairs the coolest Disney merch. Stage 9 is one of the top 5 retailers of Disney art in the world, in America.
Is it really?
Yeah,
No.
it is. And I think for me, you come here and you get your Disney fix. If you're
yeah.
a Northern California person and you can't get down to Disney, just come and hang out at
You just
Stage
come in.
9.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and we will track down Troy when he's not busy. He's running through here with bags and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. So we'll track him down and just say thanks for having us here. Quick predictions for you. What do you think about Disneyland Forward?
I want to see expansion.
Yeah.
I really do. And if I was, I'll tell you what my dream would be.
Please.
Yeah.
Please
My
do.
dream would be to have Big Thunder Ranch barbecue there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because it's, the idea that you could go to something that iconic without having to have park admission, number one, gives me goosebumps
Right.
because it's touched so many decades and so many people. The family style is affordable. The food was always so good.
Yes.
It lends itself to terrific music and outdoor. That would be my dream. What do you guys think?
Udi?
Well, the expansion is. Okay. Let me back this up. We've always thought that we need to do more, and Disney Forward for me is the ability to reinvigorate the whole area. After the pandemic, we all had to buckle in and buckle down and had to deal with all that, and I think we lost a lot of the little connective tissues that we have. And I was telling Mark earlier, this is why we like Disney, because we have that. And so for them to do that and to be able to do that, I don't care. Like, give me more, because I think that area has been starved for a very, very long time. So whatever they can do would be great. And if only other thing that I can think of is we need more Walt. And we actually talked about this in our last episode. We need more Walt. So the story of, I don't know who Walt is, those things, while will happen, need to be rare, and the introduction of him back to the park to a high level is really, really needed right now. And I feel so if they do that, we need to make sure that he's there, and because this will be an expansion for it without him being there. So I think as long as they do that, I'll be happy with whatever they put.
Well, Woody, you're speaking my language.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that too. So what about you, Mark?
So for me, for Disneyland Forward, I think Disneyland has to change. We need to be able to tell new. I'm saying they need to.
No, we do all feel like it's our park. I think, and I think that's how Walt said that.
Home.
Welcome home. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need new stories to be told. We need new adventures, but we can't tear down the old ones to make room for the new ones. So that's why I'm pushing for Disneyland Forward, so we can have new stuff, because I don't want them to tear down Autopia and the Lagoon just to put Pandora in. That would break my heart.
Yeah. Honestly,
I'd be like, what are we doing here? So I'm all in favor of this stuff being rezoned for future stories, for future adventures, and as Udi said, bring more Walt back into the park. And we were talking about that on our last episode, what sort of elements that we could do to bring him back in the park. So I'm super excited about what this does.
By the way, I had Woody's Roundup on my brain. I apologize. Okay, back to you. I just as you said that, I'm like, oh God, excuse me, Rudy. Okay, back, yeah.
So no, I'm all in favor of Disneyland Forward, and I don't see why the city would say no to this anyways.
Yeah, I don't know how to. I think we're all saying the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, let's have some more. Let's have more.
Yeah,
more.
More.
And when we were saying that, Disneyland's home. I mean, in his dedication speech, Walt said, what. It's for all of us, right?
It is.
It is. It always was. I mean, that was his purpose, and so. Yeah, let's all get on a committee and be able to say what it is. And of course, I want to keep Walt, and I would love to see Carousel of Progress come back.
That'd be great.
And that'd be amazing with a brand new, the fourth scene being really, very forward, thinking it would fit in Tomorrowland. But, it's just such a huge challenge. And at Walt Disney World, which I've been spending a lot of time at and working there more and more, I just have growing and growing love for those parks and
Yeah.
for that resort. I really do. And there's not a lot of Walt, but there's Walt to be found.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, they can do so much, you know. The
Sure.
festivals, just what you can do with space.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and resources is tremendous. So.
And then while we have you here, just real quick, what's your thoughts about them serving alcohol now at Carnation Cafe?
Well, you know, I get that question a lot, and same thing when it was Blue Bayou.
Yeah.
I think it's, in my mind, I would never have a headline, Walt didn't want this, because first of all, you don't know what Walt wanted, and I was taught by Diane Disney Miller and many others, we don't speculate, postulate, posit what Walt would think, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Walt said no alcohol. He said no alcohol to Club 33, too, in the beginning, you know?
Okay.
But then he realized, oh, yeah, geez, you know, I want to get people to give me money, so I should have drinks, you know? And that's, I mean, I'm kind of making light of it, but that's,
Sure. No, true.
that's how
Yeah.
alcohol came to Club 33.
Right.
So, you know, it is a cliche, and it's true. At the same, it's both things. Disneyland is always changing, and if that's what it's, you know, that's what they need to make guests happy and to improve the guest experience, or that's perception. As long as it's a sit-down restaurant
Yeah.
at Disneyland, I'm okay with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't want to see any walk-up service like we have at DCA.
Totally, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom, Hollywood
Yeah.
Studios, or Epcot, which is really fun, and you know you're going there for adult beveraging.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, it doesn't. I think people want me as a Walt historian to get angry, but I refuse to, because I don't know what he would think. And you
Yeah.
know, who knows if you get a, you know, just knowing restaurants a little bit, if you get a, you know, a budget and you think, well, you know, there's such a high markup on alcohol, you make a lot of money with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of labor, you know. That at the end of the day, it is a business too.
Yeah.
And I do believe they are my best guess is they are 100% doing what they're getting in those reader pools that we get, like annual pass
Yeah,
holders.
yeah.
They are getting that response that they want. People want the ability to enjoy a glass of wine or a cocktail at Disneyland.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the same.
Udi,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. I think Jess might be a little upset.
Yeah, I mean, you have that twinge of like, you know, but you gotta let go,
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, I think what I've come to know and what I believe in, being a lifelong Disneyland fan, and now, you know, having access to some of the, you know, repository, the archives, the people that were there, is that it's ultimately, it's just meant to be enjoyed, and we all have different opinions about what our favorite rides are, attractions are, what are our favorite foods. And with Jess, you know, I'm sorry, Jess, I can't make you cry right now, but I think I have 100% perfect record
You
on
do.
that.
You
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is to us, and that's what's so unique about it. And for a lot of us, it's just that feeling, right? When
Yeah.
we walk in,
Yeah.
it's that feeling that we want, and then what we do after we get that feeling. There's a gazillion ways to go.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and where's your best guess as to where Pandora's going to go and what it is?
Oh yeah, that.
You know, I don't know. I hear that there's room behind Galaxy's Edge still, because it was going to be much bigger before.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that, you know, again, I'm no expert, so I have no intel at all.
Yeah. Oh.
But yes, no, I have no intel on that.
Okay.
No, no.
I wonder.
Yeah, that was the same question
Yeah.
I got. Did National Geographic fly around the world to experience everything? No. I watched ride-throughs on YouTube like everybody else does to
Yeah.
see. Like I couldn't experience the Shanghai Pirates of the Caribbean. That's supposed to be the best one, I hear.
Yeah, actually, Jess has done that.
Yeah. So no, I don't have any.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Do you have any guesses?
I have a couple guesses. I think it could naturally lend itself into DCA, actually, over by the Redwood Creek Challenge.
That'd be
what I
great.
thought.
I wouldn't. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And I mean, we don't know what the size and scale of this particular
Yeah.
experience is. So if it's some modified version of what they have at Animal Kingdom, that could be a good spot. Or other podcasters are suggesting that it's going to be the anchor spot for whatever Disneyland Forward is.
Oh, that would be cool.
Which could be.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it really belongs in Disneyland proper.
Yeah. That would be my thing. Like, put it. If you have territory or space outside the berm, would be fine. Almost anywhere outside the berm would be fine for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's the same thing like with Galaxy's Edge, but now we're all so used to it, right? It's
Yeah.
like we can't imagine life without it, and I think it's a nice respite. It's like a totally different
Oh, yeah.
thing. I think I'm not. I was one of the detractors from it. Now I'm sort of like I've accepted it. The Redwood Creek Trail. I mean, so many people with young kids really love that space.
I love that area too. Yeah.
And it's sort of quiet. So I don't want. But things have to make room for progress, as we
Yep.
know. So
Yep.
I wouldn't hate it there. Yeah, I'd like it
Yeah.
actually, as long as I don't. Like with Toontown too, the idea was to make it for neurodivergence and guests, and also for kids to have more grass, more rest area, that type of stuff. I think that's needed. So I don't want to necessarily say we should take that out. But
Yeah.
Okay.
anyway,
All right.
that's what I got on that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.
Well, thank you. As always, a pleasure to be here. Say hello to Jess for me. I hope we run into each other. We have not seen each other at Disneyland. No, we have. With Mark and Jess,
Yeah.
Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
She does say hello.
Oh, good. How's
Yeah.
it? Where is he?
Work.
Oh, that gets in the way of the podcast deal, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. We FaceTimed her and she's like, tell her hi. I'm like, oh, I will.
Well, anyway.
Yep.
As
Okay.
always, appreciate being with you guys.
Yeah,
Oh, thank
absolutely.
you.
If you ever taken the time to talk to us,
Yeah, always.
We have to do another Walt Disney Family Museum thing sometime, and you can come show us some things.
Well, or I would love that, and just a meetup is always fun. So
Oh, yeah.
let's make it happen.
That's absolutely. And where can listeners find out more about you?
MarcyCarrickerSmothers.com. It's such a long name, but if you just put Marcy Smothers or Marcy Smothers Disney, my website will come up.
And Eat Like Walt isn't around anymore?
It still exists. EatLikeWalt.com. All some free recipes there and some. Yeah. I never took that down. No,
Gotcha.
because I love. You got to own these domains.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
You have to. You have to.
So I keep it. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys. Have a great afternoon.
right.
Bye.
Okay, LTP listeners, we are sitting next to another special guest right now, Walt Disney Hometown Museum founder, Kay Mallins.
Indeed, I'm so happy to be out here in Sacramento. Hadn't been here for a very long time. So happy to be back.
Well, we're happy you are here.
Yeah.
And you're celebrating Disney's 100th year.
We are. We actually had a celebration in Marceline on June 3rd, where we announced that we are the hometown of any D23 member. And
Yep.
so we are now D23's hometown in Marceline, Missouri. And we celebrated the 100th year with Mickey and Marceline.
Oh, that is
Beautiful.
awesome.
Yeah, Mickey and Minnie were there.
Beautiful.
So, can you tell the listeners how you even got started with all this? What's your story?
Well, it all kind of, how much time do we have?
All
you know
the
what?
time
We
you
have
want.
all the time you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my Disney story starts with air conditioning.
Okay.
In 1956, little Marceline, Missouri, population 2,300 people, had passed a bond, and they were going to build a new public swimming pool, which in mid-Missouri at that time was really something
Yeah.
to have.
Sure.
So they passed the bond, they started building the pool, and my dad was on the city council, and he goes, it's going to be the first pool in the county. It needs a really special name. I said, let's write Walt Disney, because Walt Disney had grown up in Marceline.
Sure.
So I wrote Walt Disney. He was thrilled. Next letter back was, are we going to have a dedication? Yeah, we could. So he wanted to come, and Roy wanted to come. They wanted to bring their wives. So after everybody was so ecstatic that they were coming, realization set in. They go, okay, what are we going to do with them? It's the Disneys.
Down or up?
Sorry, hold on. Let me get that. I want to make sure we can hear you. And we're going to go a little bit closer to the microphone.
That's fine.
There you go.
Oh, just
Okay.
real quick, what a year was this again?
1956.
Okay.
Oh, so I'm trying to think of the new. Okay, in 1956, Disneyland had been open for almost a year.
1 year.
Yep.
So so people were going crazy for Disney at this point, right?
Walt was one of the most famous men in the world, and the fact that he wanted to come back to his little hometown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no idea what that meant to us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
So, okay, the Disneys are coming. So we're going to have luncheons. We're going to have all these things. We're going to have the dedication. But where were they going to stay? Well, our hotel was kind of run down, and it didn't have air conditioning.
Oh, boy.
Well, my parents had just built a brand new ranch-style air-conditioned house. And so the city council said, how about the Disney stay with you? And without asking my mother, my father said, sure.
She must have been thrilled.
Oh, well, my mother goes, you have to be out of your mind. Have you seen our furniture? It's the Disney's, and our furniture is junk. It was all hand-me-down.
Oh.
She said, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Well, then it spreads. The word spreads that my mother will not let the Disney stay in her air-conditioned house because her furniture is bad. And so they said, don't worry about it. We'll move your junk out. We'll move our better stuff in. And so for 3 days, we had all kinds of furniture, china, everything. It was lovely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is great.
But it wouldn't matter because the Disneys wouldn't care.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah, so the Disney wouldn't care. So,
Okay.
So the first time I met Walt Disney, he was standing in the living room of the house that I grew up in. And,
Wow.
Yeah. And I was 8. And I was fairly precocious at 8. And so I look up at Walt Disney and I go, what room are you going to sleep in?
Not mine.
And he said, what room should I sleep in? I said, well, the pink one. So my claim to fame is Walt and Lillian Disney stayed in my room.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's a really good claim to
Oh,
fame.
that is, yep.
Yeah.
So that was my beginning of my Disney journey.
Okay. And how did you find them to be?
They were just like you would want them to be.
Yeah.
And I knew Walt the last 10 years of his life, from the time I was 8 till I was 18. And on that visit, in 56, they're sitting in our family room, and my dad's having bourbon, and Walt's having scotch, and Walt looks at my father and says, do you know who owns my boyhood home farm? And Dad said, yes, I do. And Walt said, you can buy it cheaper than I can go buy it. So Walt's idea, because he said, there'll come a day when a child will not know what an acre of land is. There'll come a day when a child will not know what happens when you put a seed in the ground. So his vision was to have a turn-of-the-century working farm in Marceline with Disney educational values.
Oh, I love that.
So they started buying the land.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was so exciting during those 10 years because we had 7 passenger trains a day that was the main line between Los Angeles and Chicago. And so Walt often took the train, and I'd pick up the phone, and in those days the phone was tethered to the wall.
Yeah.
So either you engage someone in conversation, or you lay the phone down, and so I'd pick up the phone and be, hey, Kay, this is Walt. I need to talk to your dad. or he'd say, well, somebody pick me up at the station because I got an idea and I'm going to take the next train. So Walt was really, and he was doing this whole project, his Marceline project, through his private company, Route Law. So those were pretty heady years, yeah.
Yeah.
So through Walt and Roy, I met their sister Ruth.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ruth and I became friends.
Oh, okay.
And one visit with her, she said, okay, I want you to have my stuff. And I go, okay, what are we talking about? So didn't mention it. We didn't talk about it anymore. And Ruth passes away, and her only son Ted calls me. She goes, Mom, we should have her stuff. I go, okay. So this was right before 9/11, and you could fly with an empty suitcase, and nobody cared.
Sure.
So I thought there'd be enough stuff for an exhibit at City Hall. So I flew out with my empty suitcase, and they started taking stuff out of the tops of closets, out from the beds. I go, whoa, I'm way over my head here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it took about 3 months. We set up shop on their dining room table with cameras and scanners, and we documented 3,000 artifacts.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
And I promised Ruth I would tell the story of her family in Marceline, and that's how the Walt Disney Hometown Museum began.
Beautiful.
That is such an awesome story.
That is.
Wow. That. Yeah, I'm getting jitters again.
I know you are.
We
Yeah.
just got done talking to Tanya, and I got jitters talking to her, and now this is the same thing.
Yeah.
Gosh, where to go from here?
Well, okay, so I'm always curious about people who are, have that connection with Walt and a direct one, because sadly we're beginning to lose those.
We are.
Yeah, we are.
And so I'm always intrigued about the interpersonal relationship with him and how that fed into what you were doing. So obviously you said you wanted to do that with Ruth, but what did Walt ever tell you, talk to you? I guess maybe the best is, what is the fondest memory you have of him and what he was trying to do in Marceline with the farm and the whole thing?
When you think about it, Walt really never left Marceline in his heart and in his mind, because he used Marceline and his memories of Marceline. I mean, Main Street USA at Disneyland is patterned after Walt's memories of Marceline. throughout his career in his movies and his parks and everything else, Marceline was used over and over and over. And if you think about, people go, well, he was only there like 4 years. And I go, well, when he left Marceline, that was the only time he got to be a kid.
Yeah.
He left there, he went to work. So those few golden years he had in Marceline is what he considered his childhood. Mm-hmm. And that's what he wanted everybody to experience. So, when you walk into to Disneyland, you have to walk to his hometown of Marceline. He made that decision for you.
Yeah.
So he wanted everybody to experience what he had as a child. And, it was very interesting to me because, like I said, 8 to 18 is my age when I knew him, is that I came to appreciate him more and more and more. Before it's just like, yeah, it's Walt Disney, But the man knew what he was doing, obviously, but his heart was in the right place. And he wanted people to know how people should really live. And even if they don't get to do it except a little time, he wanted them to have that experience and that feeling.
Yeah.
So, he was a wonderful man.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to go to Disneyland while he was there?
My first time at Disneyland, Walt and Roy Disney were my guides.
Oh, wow.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, no.
So how did that come to be?
Well, Walt said, aren't you guys coming out to Disneyland? This was like the year after he stayed with us. And Disneyland just opened in 55, so this was 57, And my dad goes, well, yeah, we can come out, So, we get in the family station wagon and
Sure.
drive to California. And, so we go to Disneyland, and Walt and Roy Disney were our guides, and we were very fortunate because, Walt has that apartment up over the firehouse. Mm-hmm. And so on visits after that, we always got to headquarter out of the apartment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was a real nice thing.
So you got to stay the night there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Well, I feel like I want to give, Mark and I have a tradition
Yes.
when we go to the park. And what, you want to tell her what it is?
You can do it.
Okay. Before we leave, we always walk out the right and we go by Walt's apartment. Mm-hmm. And no matter what we do, we stop, we look up, and I always have a cap on, and I always tip my cap as a thank you to
love
Walt.
that.
And then I walk out. We both do it. We do it all the time. And
I
so
love
people,
that.
people look over at us and like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And we've told many people, like, that's Walt's apartment.
Yeah.
And we've talked to them about it because having that, that's like him for me. The lights on, and I always look at that and I'm like, man, this is why Disneyland is Disneyland. Because we were standing on the steps to the railroad. And I remember thinking, like, Walt stood right here.
Yeah, you did.
You can go to any other park, and you can't say that. Walt was here, and you feel that. And from any of the things that he's done, the creation of the entirety, you feel him there. And I love that. That's why it is the only park to me.
I agree.
Yep.
No, truly, I feel it as well. I walk into that park. When I walk in, I always go to the left. So I'm walking by City Hall and by his apartment first.
Okay.
Yeah, I do similar things,
Yep.
and I have all these places in the park I have to go to, and I certainly feel his presence there. I certainly do. And I think a lot of we true Disney people,
Yeah.
I think that's why we love the park so much.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you said. It sets it apart from any place else in the world.
Yep,
It does.
absolutely.
Yeah, we're so blessed. It's here. It's California.
It's California, yeah. So we typically ask guests quite a few questions about their personal opinions about Disneyland, and there's no wrong answers. This is more of an information thing. So we're going to touch on that in a second with you because I think you're going to have some pretty good answers.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
So we have been twice to the Walt Disney Family Museum in San Francisco. In fact, we did a show there with Marcy and another Disney historian, Michael Bowling. I'm surprised he's not here today.
Yeah.
But we spent the afternoon with Marcy at the Walt Disney Family Museum and loved it.
It's fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
And I recommend everyone goes there. But now I want people to go to your museum as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so can you describe your museum a little bit because all of us, I've never been to Missouri.
Yeah.
Missouri. Sorry.
Time you get there.
Yeah, Missouri.
Yes. So the easiest way to get to us, if you look at a map of Missouri, There is Kansas City on one side, St. Louis on the other side. North of each of those, north of Kansas City, is St. Joseph, Missouri. North of St. Louis is Hannibal, Missouri.
Okay.
If you draw a line between Hannibal and St. Joseph, Missouri, we're right on Highway 36.
Okay.
So if you fly in, you go to, we always tell people fly into Kansas City because there's another Disney connection there.
Oh.
You fly into Kansas City, and it's a 2-hour drive to Marceline. Or if you have your own private jet, you can land.
easy.
You can land 10 minutes from Marceline.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just get your jet. And come on.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So our museum is right in downtown Marceline, and it is in a railroad station that was built in 1913.
Okay.
And the reason we chose that building is because Walt admittedly says that his love for the railroad started when he was in Marceline with his uncle Mike Martin, who was an engineer on the Santa Fe Railroad.
Okay.
So, and when Walt would come back to Marceline, he would always come on a train because that's the way he arrived as a child, that's the way he left as a child. So our museum is in a 10,000 square foot, 1913 Santa Fe Railroad station.
Beautiful.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And is your museum pretty popular? You guys get people coming in quite often?
Thousands and thousands and thousands.
Beautiful.
It's like a holy pilgrimage for people,
Okay.
truly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and you know, we say, and I think it's true, you can't really know Walt unless you've been to Marceline. So there are 7 Disney locations in Marceline. You can come and you can take a QR code tour of Marceline with all the historic sites. We have the only federal building in the United States named after Walt Disney. It's our Walt Disney Post Office building.
Okay.
It's the only place you can get this special hand cancellation. Only in the United States you can get that. We have the Walt Disney Elementary School that Walt had his favorite artist at the time, Bob Moore, did the murals for the interior of it. Have a flagpole from the Squaw Valley Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
That he gave us. So there's a lot to see in Marceline.
Wow. So now I'm thinking, I don't know.
Now we got to go.
We gotta go.
You gotta go.
Can we stay in the pink room if we go?
Sorry, no.
Shoot. Well, it was.
I don't own the house anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, it was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth me asking.
Yep.
So I'm gonna say, without having been there, of course, I want to say thank you for keeping this spirit alive in
Oh,
Walt
yeah.
Disney.
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
It's super important
It's
to keep.
a labor of love.
Absolutely.
Oh, it is labor of
yeah.
love.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now let's get to some Disneyland talk.
Okay.
What is your favorite attractions? What are your favorite attractions? Like when you go, okay, you have to do these attractions.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to do Peter Pan.
Okay.
Do Dark Ride, and I have to do Pirates,
Okay.
and I have to do Indiana Jones,
Oh, yeah. Good one.
Okay.
and I have to do Soaring and DCA, and I have to do Cars.
Oh, you have to. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. Love it. Love the answers.
Yeah.
Okay. Is Disneyland better for you at day or night?
That's a good one.
Well, it depends on my mood.
Okay. I think I've heard that one before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sometimes I really like to be there in the daytime with all the hustle bustle and all that. Sometimes I like to go in the night and just sit and watch the lights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here's a fun fact for you. The fireworks at all the Disney parks are because of the fireworks in Marceline. When Walt was a little
Okay.
boy, we had a big 4th of July celebration in Marceline, which we've had for over 100 and some years.
Okay.
And the Disneys had like no money. So Walt looked forward to that every year. And he said it was his perfect kiss goodnight.
Oh.
So and so Floyd Norman,
Yes.
the illustrated book, and Richard Sherman wrote a
Richard
song
Sherman, the
about
song,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and so one of the sketches in there is of my house, of Walt's house.
Oh,
wow.
that was awesome.
Yeah, so those fireworks came. So all of you should be thanking Marceline
Oh, we are.
Marceline,
for
yeah.
the fireworks that you see every night at a Disney park.
Okay. Okay, so that's a fun fact. We did
Yeah,
not,
I did not know that. Yeah.
And so your answer is actually both, day and night, depending on your mood.
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite food and what's your favorite snack?
Okay, I'm a Dole Whip girl. That's my favorite snack. And I love a hot dog at Casey's. I'm simple taste.
All right. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
Okay.
good.
So have you gone to the park with Marcy?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm
Okay.
sure she's not letting you eat a hot dog. She's probably having you go somewhere fancy, right?
Well, she likes hot dogs too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she likes hot dogs too. And it's interesting how Marcy and I became friends. We've been friends for a long time now. And it's like we get together and it's like, so
Yeah.
we're talking Disney. So, yeah.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
So another question we always ask guests is, let's say you were going to bring someone into Disneyland for the first time, and they go, "Oh, Kay, I don't really like Disneyland. It's not my thing." Where would you take this person to show them the best representation of what Walt Disney was trying to accomplish with the park?
Okay, I think the very first thing is you have to walk down Main Street, USA, and then I always like to go to the left first.
Adventureland?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like to find a bench that you can see the castle and you can see things, and then we talk about Walt's intent. We talk about, what he wanted people to feel when he comes into the park. We want to talk about the weenie. We want to talk about all those things. And I think first they have to understand why everything was done, and then they kind of get into it, and then we kind of stroll through the park. But, I liked it before we had to be so planned.
Well,
Because you just go and you're like, let's stand in this line for 30 minutes, or this line for an hour, whatever it is, and just take it real easy until they start getting into it, and then they're like, yeah, I want to do, yeah. So I think I think everybody needs a little bit of education. I think you should not hit it so hard the minute you get into the park.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you say probably like 2 or 3 days is a good time to visit the park, right? Not like one day, right?
No, and I always feel so sorry for the people that we all get to go whenever we want, and that's wonderful. But people that save and save and save and can only go one day, and they're just so stressed about the whole thing. I don't know what we'll ever do about that, but I do. But they want part of the magic, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, because we've got friends that clearly aren't into Disneyland as we are, and they'll come and talk to us. Hey, we're going to go for like a day in October, and Udi and I both go.
Yeah.
Right away.
Can you maybe make it 2 days at the least?
Make it 2.
Yeah.
At the minimum.
Yeah.
Because because there's so much to see, and you're going to miss so much if you just kind of go Indy, Star Wars, or whatever, Space Mountain, Matterhorn. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is that another thing I love about Disneyland and where it is that you can stay off property. And it makes it so much more affordable for everybody.
Sure.
You can stay someplace, you can eat at McDonald's right outside or whatever, and you can be more relaxed. If the kid is crying, you can go take a nap, and walk back into the park, and it's just the best. Mm-hmm. It's the best.
It is the best. All right. Excellent.
Yep.
Anything else you want to talk about tonight?
Well, sure. I have one more thing.
Sure.
You said you want to come to Marceline.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a couple of dates that I think you should really come.
Okay.
First off, do you guys have good barbecue in Marceline?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. I'm there. Okay, gotcha.
And if not, you can have it at my house. So anyway.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
So
You heard that right? Okay.
It's on.
Okay.
So on September 15th and 16th, we're having the museum gala. So the gala is held on the Disney farm
Okay.
under a big tent. On Friday night, the 15th, Marcy's speaking, doing a book signing. On Saturday, Sandy Baldwin is speaking on the history of the VIP costume. Then we have Tanya is speaking.
Okay.
And that afternoon, we have the women of Walt Disney Imagineering speaking.
Oh, wow.
And so that's just a prelim to the evening. And so, so there'll be tours of the town also. There'll be tours of the Walt Disney Hometown Museum, get special cancellation at the post office, all kinds of fun stuff downtown. And then that night, Floyd Norman is our keynote speaker.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And we are going to party like it's 1923.
Okay.
So you also get to go to a speakeasy.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you get to go to speakeasy before you come to the banquet.
Okay.
Yeah. And Marcy has curated a meal, and we're going to eat like Walt.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
I love that.
Yeah, so you guys need to come.
Are there any other dates besides September 15th and 16th?
We will take you anytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we are seasonal. We open March 1, and we close the middle of December because nobody travels in Missouri in the winter.
Is bad weather there?
It can be.
Okay.
Yeah.
But during the course of the year, do you have other events like what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
15th? Okay.
You're well,
Okay,
right
because
there.
I know that I can't come those dates because I've got some other obligations, but
I want to go to it. Yeah.
if there's something else like that, like next year,
Yeah.
I would definitely be down for doing it.
Sounds like fun. And
Yeah.
so we're always doing things, and we have a speaker series that we do there as well. So there's all kinds of fun stuff happening. So
Okay.
become our friend on social media.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
We'll
Yeah.
give you guys a follow. And this is Kay Mellons and you can reach her at the WaltDisneyMuseum.org.
You can.
And you have Instagram?
No.
Oh, okay.
The museum does, but I don't.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Okay, so we're gonna plug that on our show. We're gonna put some stuff on there.
Awesome. That sounds
Yep.
wonderful.
So thank you for spending time with us this morning.
Yep. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course, of course. All right.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome back, LTP listeners. We are again in the midst of celebrating Disney's 100th year as a corporation, as a company. We are at Stage 9, one of the top 5 Disney art galleries in
As we found out
in the United States. And this exhibit is going to be going on for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we are sitting next to another special guest. This is Michael Provenza. He is an artist, specializes in all kinds of art, but he has done quite a few for Disney. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Any time. We love talking to Disney artists, Disney authors, Disney Imagineers, and in fact, anyone that does anything for Disney, we love to just hear the story, hear the passion, and carry on, and that's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
We do a lot of complaining on our show about like Disney news, but we're not going to get into that.
We're not gonna do that.
We're not going to do that
that's
today.
good.
This is this is the happy show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your story about art. And as we found out, you and I grew up in the same area, Los Gatos.
Yeah.
My mom was a nurse at Los Gatos General.
Nice.
Yeah, and anyways, that's another story.
Yeah.
But so we're both Bay Area folk here.
Yeah.
He's a SoCal guy. I won't hold that against him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I didn't choose it.
Right.
No, that's right. That's right. Okay, so let's hear your story a little bit.
Sure. So yeah, I grew up in the Bay Area. I've been drawing and painting since I was 9 years old. So over 50 years now, which is crazy. And my grandfather was an artist in Chicago, and he and I would send sketches back and forth to each other. I would learn from him. He encouraged me, and so that's what started my passion for art. He was an amazing artist himself. He ended up getting accepted to art school in France, which is really amazing.
Wow.
But he couldn't go because his father died, and in those times he had to stay home because he was the oldest son,
Right.
and take care of his family and all that stuff. So he couldn't do that, unfortunately. But I learned so much from him as far as, how he was sketching and drawing, and it was amazing, and so I loved it. And then I kept drawing, kept painting, kept, getting that passion going and stuff. Took it through school, all through high school, in college and stuff. I did all kinds of jobs. All my jobs are pretty much art related, like sign painter. I was a muralist for a while. I did murals in Israel, as a matter of fact, for a dark ride.
Oh, Shane does that. Shane Grammer.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And these paintings were 15 feet tall by 150 feet long.
Oh, very cool.
Like
Yeah.
landscapes and stuff. And
Oh, geez.
yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So so I love that, and then I got into the video game industry in the Bay Area. So it's crazy over there. They have a lot of that. So I did that for 20 years, and actually, what happened? It was a really great transition for me as far as my fine art is concerned, because I got into 3D, started creating things in 3D, and then it helped me understand more lighting and depth and everything within my 2D art.
Right.
So when I paint through the canvas, not on the canvas or the board, that I paint on.
Oh.
And so that helps me with my work. And a lot of people think it's 3D, and it's really not. But I do it like I was doing the video game stuff.
Sure,
and
sure.
It's really been, it's enhanced my whole, fine art work. So I developed a style, a more animated, surrealistic style, like as dreamscapes is what I call them.
Yeah.
And I love pointillism. And pointillism, through like Ivan Durrell. So Ivan Durrell's one of my favorite artists. Very inspired by him.
Yes, and you've gone through the walkthrough at Sleeping Beauty's castle, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so you'll see a lot of my Disney stuff is from like what he has done in the background.
Yeah, awesome.
Tied with my work and style in it, which has been great. And Disney really likes that about what I do because it just enhances that and then becomes more personal too.
Okay.
And different. So I started with Disney collector's editions in 2018. So I'm fairly new. To this. But, it's certainly not new to me because I've always loved doing that anyways.
Yeah.
And so it's been great. I mean, the feedback has been amazing, and it's really, really coming along well. So it's been a great run so far, and I think we're going to keep going with this for a while.
Okay, so that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So when you can you just paint whatever you want for Disney, or do they tell you to do this?
No, they don't tell me. But what I have to do is I do concepts first. So I do it on pencil, draw them out, get it to where I want it to be as far as my world, my environment itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then create the scene with the characters, put them in there, and then I have a little story with it, and then I submit it. And so they have to approve it, or they disapprove it, whatever.
Right.
But most of the time they approve. And then I go to paint once that's approved. And then after that, I have to finish the painting. And then when the painting's done, send that, and that has to be approved.
Right.
Okay.
And so that's a process. It's quite a process,
Sure.
and it's great because not anybody can just do it. It really needs to be approved.
Yeah.
Right.
So, which is a great thing, and I enjoy that part because working in the video game industry, it's like everybody's looking at what you're doing, and they're going to be playing it. They're going to be critical. So
You
I'm
have to have
used to
thick
that.
skin, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Okay.
used to that kind of thing, and,
Okay.
and I'm in that environment. So I love it, and most of the stuff is approved, thank God.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
It's good. So yeah, that's the process.
What was the first piece you did for them?
First piece was Alice in Wonderland piece with my trees style, this
Okay.
realistic style.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Alice in Wonderland. It's my all-time favorite story. I could watch that every night, every time. So
Sure.
So, and it works well with my surrealistic scenes, my environment, my world, and it fits. And so ever since then, it's like people were going, yeah, this fits well. You got to keep going with this. And so, it's that kind of thing. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you do any attraction paintings at all, or is that
so
characters?
we have Haunted Mansion license with us, so that's the only attraction that we can do,
Right.
and with the characters and stuff. So I do settings more,
Okay.
so the ghosts and stuff that I do. I have quite a few actually that I've done, and I did the Gravedigger or the Caretaker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure,
Big,
sure.
yeah.
And that was kind of neat. And it was neat to show off the fact that I can do people and portraits as opposed to just the characters, animated characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice to be able to do that, and it was really well received. So.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And can people buy your work at Disneyland right now?
Not at Disneyland. So it's all at Disney Fine Art License Galleries. So in the parks is a different group.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not at the parks.
So you couldn't go to like downtown Disney and get a Wonder
No,
Gown?
not of my work or our work that is with collector's editions,
Oh,
Disney
okay.
Fine Art. Yeah, it's a different thing.
Oh, I
So-
never
didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
it's
had
a
no
separate
idea.
separate license. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because I was telling you earlier, our friend Sam Carter does
Yeah.
art for Disney and off and on, and it's weird how you can buy it in certain places and some places you can't.
Yeah.
And anyways, it's a fascinating concept
Yeah,
to me
it
how
is.
it all works.
Yeah.
What is your favorite aspect of painting for Disney?
The fact that I can actually create a world in my world itself.
Yeah.
The way I paint with my non-Disney stuff. So it's I paint the same really without the characters.
Right.
It's just I have a certain style. The striped trees and striped ground, the pointillistic style. So I bring that in. So
Oh, okay.
I've always wanted to do backgrounds for the animations in films.
Yes.
Right. But I never got the opportunity to do that, and I sent my stuff in, got rejected. Of course,
Sure.
it's one of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
You have to, I had to have a whole lot of experience to do that. But
Yeah.
But the thing is now I'm able to be licensed to have the characters within my world, which
Yeah,
is really
yeah.
That's
that's
awesome.
where I want to be. So
Yeah.
I'm living there. So that to me, I feel like it just came to me as me going to them. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's been great, and it's a great fit, and they really enjoy it. So I'm having a blast.
Oh, that is the whole that is the key to life, right?
Yeah.
Is to love what you do.
Yeah.
And man,
Absolutely.
And then how did that come about? How did that you being able to start that with Disney? Like, did someone, run across your art and go like, hey, come and work for us, or how did that work out?
Yeah, so I of course, I have my signature work, which is the non-Disney stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been doing that for a while, and I've galleries in Hawaii and California and in Florida, but this one place
at you.
Yeah.
the one place in California, in Simi Valley, she carried my regular work, my signature work,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, hey, I know this group in LA that
Yeah.
does Disney fine art, and so she introduced me,
Yeah.
and I did a couple of other pieces for them just to do a sample, and we sat down. I had no intentions in really doing anything
Right,
with it
right.
because I was on my way to another show with my signature work, and they loved it.
Oh, that is
It was
awesome.
it was a great meeting. It was so
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. It floored me because I didn't expect it.
Right.
And so the surprise of not, expecting it and then having them absolutely love it, it's amazing. So that's how that worked, and here we are, so it works out well.
Yeah.
that is awesome. That is great.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, we talk a lot about Disney, and we were kind of talking a little bit before how you have some experience with Disney, not as much as maybe we do.
Yeah.
But we always like to incorporate, your thoughts of Disney. What do you like about Disney and
You mean Disneyland?
Disneyland and Disney in general because of what Walt,
Right.
how we're all here because of Walt.
Right.
Yeah.
So, with that aspect, I love the fact that Walt Disney was a dreamer. Had all that, and knowing his history when he was a kid, and he dreamt up all these characters and dreamt up the scene, Disneyland itself. That's where I am within my world of art.
Sure.
And so I resonate with that 100%. And so I feel like it's the same in a way.
Yeah.
But I don't have this Provenza land or whatever.
Right.
But it would be cool too because
Yeah.
I still have my world. You know what I mean? I
Right.
think that way. I think that dreamlike place. I would love to be able to walk into one of my paintings and explore. It's kind of like what Walt Disney did with his Disneyland, Disney
Yeah.
World,
Yeah.
all that stuff,
Yeah.
and his films. And I was always fascinated as a kid with the way the animations looked in Disney, far beyond anything else.
Yeah, with
And-
the multiplane and
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine that's what your art is.
That's
like
what
a
it is,
multi-planing.
yes. That's
yeah.
how I approach my work.
Okay.
Is like plane. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's a win-win
For
for
sure.
me. So that's how I resonate to that.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Have you ever been to the park and felt like inspired by what they're doing? Because even like, let's say you don't like going on attractions. Theme parks aren't my thing. As an artist, you could probably dig Disneyland because there's so many just crazy mishmashes of artwork
Yeah.
and fonts and
Yeah.
styles and
Yeah.
colors. Like, what the heck's even going on here? Do you ever get inspired from
I
that?
do. As a matter of fact, it's like walking into a 3D world.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
the way they have it, because obviously there's facades and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
That's
Yeah.
how it's made in 3D. So that's how I think. And so when I'm there, I do feel like I'm in his world, his
yeah.
dream, and that's how I approach my world or my art.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So yes, very inspired by that, and I think that way too.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I feel like I have that in common with him.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, I get it. Oh,
Obviously,
totally. Yeah.
younger, but yeah.
So you said you have the Haunted Mansion license, right?
Yeah.
So when you were gonna go and begin doing that, did you go in and begin to look around? Did they give you hey, come check it out, take you behind the scenes or anything like that to kind of get you going?
Oh.
I've been in it once or twice actually, and it really had an impact on me because I'm very visual and I love to look at all that stuff.
Yeah, and you
the
get moved
environment.
around. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the effects really are important to me as far as the way things look and feel. So what I did was with that is I looked online for like a lot of people take videos of their ride on that attraction.
Yeah.
And that actually helped me more because I got to see it through their eyes and also visualize the 3D look. You know, so because I'm visual, I can see it. I that's how I get it. Being on it helped, but also seeing those videos that people post, it's amazing. And so that helped me a lot.
For sure.
You know, so yeah.
We're talking in. I think I know you have the license for Haunted Mansion, but it sounds to me like your work might be good for like Adventureland type of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Jungle Cruise,
Right.
because trees.
Yeah.
Dude, do it. Just do it for fun.
Yeah.
Could you do that for fun and then sell it on your own?
Then,
I can do it for fun, but I can't sell it. I can't even show it.
Oh, man.
Can you show me though? I want to see it.
Well,
I don't have it, but that we don't have that.
Okay.
So.
Let's go ahead.
Do you have like a land or anything now that you're kind of in that you would go like, man, I kind of want to do that? You know, do you have like Tomorrowland or maybe Galaxy's Edge? Or
I would love to do it all. Yeah,
all of it,
it'd be really fun because now with the Haunted Mansion, I can actually paint the Haunted Mansion itself, which I've done both Florida and California versions.
Yeah.
And it's actually really fun. Being able to do that because I like to paint architecture as well, as well as people and characters and environment. So I love doing that kind of thing. But they have to make sense, of course.
Right.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to do all of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, walking in there, it's like I'm in his dream or a dream, of what he built.
Yeah.
And that's how I approach my art.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about haunted again because you have that. We've talked about how haunted you kind of go into the dream. If you when you ride that.
Yeah.
No pirates.
No, well, I'm not talking about pirates, but I'm talking about also that you're following the story. You're falling backwards as you turn, and then you're falling backwards and all that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a very dream-like state. But Pirates Caribbean. I don't know how many times you've been on it.
Yeah.
That is like you drop into a dream.
Oh, I
and
know.
We talk about
Exactly.
that. It's missed on so many people, and I think that's what I love about how, like, talking to you, how a lot of us get that. You know, the 3D visual. Like, I'm a visual guy too. I learned through a visual medium. I am not a good artist. I work with my hands. I work with metal, and I cut and I build, and that's how I translate my 3D world because I live in a 3D world. I have to assemble that. I have to put that building up. I got to make sure that gets done right. So the appreciation for that 3D world is amazing. And then knowing that you as an artist, I don't get that. I can't put it down. My brother and my father were amazing artists. I didn't get that. My brother's a great tattoo artist, and he has to work in that realm of like 3D and on the skin and all that. So I appreciate so much how you can bring that out on like a flat surface.
It actually took a long time. Look, it took me 20 years to get it from my head to the paper. What I really wanted to do, because I used to do realistic scenes from books and pictures and all that stuff, but it kind of bored me because it was, let's just take a photo of it. Why would you paint it like that? Well, I was learning a technique on my own, and then I had this idea, and it was finally came out from the video game industry. It helped me. It forced me to learn how to create worlds that don't exist.
Right.
Because that's what games were like. And that was so fascinating. We'd have scripts of what the storyline would be for the video game. We'd draw them out like a storyboard and did that. And it was like, that helped me with my fine art to get it out of my head and put it on paper, finally.
Yeah.
And, you're talking about inspiration with rides and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, in the video game industry, we created one company. We created a kart game through Disney World, all the rides. And so I did the Jungle Cruise ride. I did Rock and Roller Coaster. I did Main Street.
Right.
I did Space Mountain. A lot of them. And I felt like I was there.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I was able to go to Disneyland and look in their vault where they had all the photos and of all rides.
Really?
Yeah, we had that opportunity because we were doing the game. We had the license for the video game.
Right.
Okay.
So they were allowing me to go through, and I got to see all kinds of photos of the rides he built when they're, the process of, how they work and all that stuff. So we can build it in 3D and do that. It was amazing.
That sounds incredible.
Very cool.
So that was like behind the scenes type of thing, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It helped me actually now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I can think of it that way.
Yeah. So through the art, did you go to school, or did you like a lot of it self-taught and all that?
Yeah, I went to. I didn't go to a specific art school, but I took art and I got a degree in fine art. I just knew it was something I really wanted to do. The passion. And of course, it's something you got to work with. You're given a talent to a point, but you got to develop it too.
Sure.
So I just developed it, and got a job. Let's see, I got a job sign painting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then as I was doing art shows, so I used to do science fiction fantasy conventions in the Bay Area.
Okay.
San Jose area, up and down the Bay Area too, in San Francisco, San Rafael, all that. And I would sleep in my van and set it up and go to these places, and take my art to galleries and see what they thought, all that kind of stuff.
That's
Well, I was
awesome.
doing this one show, and some people came in that were from the video game industry, and it was 1988, and that's kind of when they started hiring more artists to do the artwork, because programmers were doing the artwork, and I got the opportunity to be to get an interview right there, and they hired me to train me to use the computer and do all that.
Right.
So that was school itself. And you have to actually go to school to do that now.
Yeah.
And I got paid to learn.
Nice.
At that time. So in 1988, that's when it started.
That is awesome.
It was cool. So yeah, I mean, doing those art shows on my own, it was like, is this going to work? It's not really a job, but it's, and I had no idea. It was hard to tell what I was going to do and how to do it. That came about, and here we are now. So it was a great career, actually.
Awesome.
So.
No, I had a question in my mind. Okay, it went away. At what moment in time, like, did you have like a moment where you're like, okay, now I know, like, I can do this. Like, this is going to be, this is going to be it. Like, I can sustain myself. This is going to be like I don't have to worry about falling back on maybe something else. Like, I like make art my hobby instead of my life.
Yeah. So, I was always told that you're really never going to make it as an artist. You have to get a real job, that type of thing. And I've loved art my whole life. And I ultimately, before that, I thought I'd want to be a fireman. Because, well, there's a job, right?
Yeah.
But, gosh, I just fell into the art with the sign painting and all that. And then the video game industry came along. I had no idea it even existed.
Sure.
So when that came along and they were paying, I mean, it was like, okay, I got this. This could go on, However, I could have still be in it, But I always painted every weekend, never stopped, always did shows on my own. I was told that in the video game industry, you're never going to paint again because you're going to be stuck with the computer and that's all you're going to do.
Right.
And that petrified me because
like,
I don't want to lose that.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So I ended up just doing that, kept my art up, and then finally, like after 25 years in the industry, I went to full-time painting and got into galleries, and that momentum started, and and it has its ups and downs. It's not always great, but it picked up so quickly, and now with the Disney stuff, it's helping my fine art, and it balances out and makes it more visible.
For sure.
It's good. Yeah. So
do you have like a piece that that is your, like, this is the one that I'm most proud of, like, for whatever reason, whether it's
your
an
favorite child?
like an emotional attachment to it, or where you were in your life. I know we all have a little moment, like, it may seem mundane for somebody else, but because it marks a period in your life, I'm like, that's like the one I hold above any other?
You know, it's crazy because it's hard to pinpoint just one that I love. The fact that I'm evolving, my goal is to make every painting better than the last.
Oh.
And so if I can achieve that and feel really good about how I'm narrowing my technique and streamlining my technique,
Yeah.
because no one can teach that to you. You're doing it.
Sure.
And so each one, I feel so grateful that I can actually do that each time. And then I get the feedback from people that say, it's not like you weren't any good before, but they're all, your work is getting better and better every time we see it.
Oh, yeah.
And that is my goal. So when I get to that point, oh my God, it's great. But I'm never going to stop learning. I need to keep that up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where I am. It's like I'm at competition with myself.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, not with anyone else at all, but myself. And so if I can achieve that each time, it's great. I get disappointed if I'm working on something that I don't really care about, but I'm not there. I don't get that.
Oh, that's
because
awesome.
Right.
each one's going to be better.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
That's awesome. Dude, I'm learning a lot about the process,
Yeah.
and I can totally tell this passion behind you, and
Yeah.
I just love it. And
Cool.
I'm glad you're working for Disney, because
Yeah.
that means we're all winners now, because
Yeah.
we get to see your
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
and like you get happy, and you get and you're happy that you're working for them, and we get to see it. So awesome. Where can people find out about you?
They can go to my website. It's michaelprovenza.com, and then there's provenzadisney.com as well. So there's
okay.
two.
Okay.
And anything Disney obviously goes through. You can look on my website, but it all goes through collector's editions or the galleries that you buy through.
Yeah.
And that's how we do that. So
Okay.
I never do anything on my own unless it's my own stuff, my signature stuff. But
I see.
so that's how they can do that. Yeah, and then social media, of course.
Sure.
Instagram, Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we will plug you for sure, man.
Yeah, cool.
That sounds great. All right, dude. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with
Thanks,
us.
guys. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And the only reason why we're cutting it short, because I know that, as you can tell in the background, people are coming by,
Yeah.
And it gets loud.
and they're over by where his corner of the world is, and I think he wants to sign stuff.
Oh,
and-
that's all right.
all right, dude. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, guys.
And
I
look
appreciate
forward to
it.
talking to you again.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Thanks.
The question is, are you having a good time?
I'm having a great time.
Yeah, that's what it's about. All right, LTP listeners, we're going to wrap up this show with the man who's actually responsible for all this today, and that's the owner of Stage 9. That's Troy Carlson. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm. As soon as I saw you guys were doing this, I had to reach out and said I want to be a part of this because this is in our backyard, and I want to help support this, support your store and Disney stuff. So
Thank
this is
you.
yeah. So this is great. So this is part of Disney's 100th year. So what made you want to get involved with this?
Well, we started to see what they were doing in terms of rolling out merchandise and celebrating the 100th, and being a connoisseur, I think, of Walt era artifacts, and been collecting for, 30 years.
Yeah.
I thought, we started to think, I thought we have enough items to do. Let's do our own exhibition of 100 items, because we obviously have more than 100. But then we wanted to, cover categories.
Sure.
Okay.
The parks, early Walt, Hyperion Studios, Disneyland, Disney World, Walt Disney, and so we had some holes. So we we're looking for some really great items. A few items aren't on the list that were latecomers, like the A1, the animatronic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that and the doors from City Hall.
Yeah.
And so we just thought, so that was the idea. Then we started to put it together, and then we had to write all the copy, and then then we figured out how much work it is to put a catalog together.
Right.
Because then someone said, we need a catalog. And I'm like, okay, who's doing that? And, but, this was part of the idea with this new space, was activations of exhibitions, and where people can come down not only today, but this is going to be going on for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
come down and share it and get a little piece of the history and learn a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I want to compliment you on how great this space is. Last time we were here with you, you hadn't even begun this. This was all white walls and
Yeah.
it was all, I mean, I think you saw carpet on the
Carpet,
floor
yeah.
and there was not any of this. And when we walked in here, I mean, I looked over at Mark, I'm like, holy cow, look at this. It is amazing in here.
Yeah.
So I just want to give you compliment, like all the work in here and all, I mean, outside of just the exhibition itself, just the space is incredible in here and it looks amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of took inspiration from being in Old Sacramento
Yeah.
and the history, and all these buildings have extensive basements.
Yeah, yeah.
And even though when you're up on the first floor, you're actually the second floor. And so,
Oh.
because all these streets were filled in because of
Yep.
flooding.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is the original ground floor. So we thought, well, let's play up the underground. And,
Yeah.
and this,
Yeah.
and so we knew we wanted a spiral staircase because
Yeah,
space
that's
was
great.
premium.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
And we wanted to bring in the brick and then do the wood floors and just have a really fun space for people to come
Oh, yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I walked in, I'm like, man, I love it in here already. And then you start walking around, and like I said, looking at the exhibit, and you're like,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. This is
I think
incredible.
maybe some nights I may sit in the Snow White vehicle, when everyone's gone, and
Yeah.
just maybe smoke a pipe and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Walt had his smoking jacket.
Yeah.
Because Lillian would make him wear the jacket so he wouldn't smell when he would smoke his pipe or,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah.
that. So maybe we'll have some smoking jackets.
Yeah, I would do
Some,
that.
yeah.
But I smoke cigars.
Issue some stage
yeah.
land smoking
There-
jackets.
There you go. I like
That'd be
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what other events have you been doing here?
Well, this is so we debuted the space for May the 4th. We did a Star Wars themed event.
Oh.
And then
I
we
remember
weren't
that. I
really
remember
sure
seeing
about
that, yeah.
flow. So we learned some lessons on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one was we celebrated, it was about 6 weeks ago. Margaret Curry was in town.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For Tinkerbell.
Yeah, Tinkerbell.
And now that she moved to the East Coast, it was like a rare opportunity.
Right.
She wanted to come out, and we hadn't seen her in a while, so that was really good. And then this one was the bigger push, is we had to do the mobile exhibits, and we just had to add more infrastructure to do this. And then we'll be celebrating our 30th anniversary, September 30th.
Okay.
And that'll be our next big one. But it keeps us rolling here.
Yeah, it totally does.
So what are your plans for that, for celebrating your 30th?
So we've got some great artists coming in. Dom Corona, who's out of Orlando. He's
Okay.
got a huge social media following. Young guy, very poppy art. Don Ducky Williams, that a lot of people know. He's been a park artist for, I think, 30 years. He'll be coming out from Orlando. Trevor Mizak, who is also from Orlando, and he does stone, like etches stone and
Cool.
marble and just all different mediums. And then we're playing off of, we haven't finalized our list yet, but we're working on, the whole thing was 30th. So this year's the 30th anniversary of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh.
So there's a new book coming out by Dave Bozzart on the 30th, so he's going to be coming.
Oh, cool.
We're hoping to maybe get someone who worked on the film. It's also the 30th of Hocus Pocus.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Yeah.
So working to maybe bring out the producer of Hocus Pocus,
Oh, that'd be
who
great.
also did Newsies.
Okay.
There's a big
Yeah.
following for that. And Henry Selick, who worked, was a producer or director, I guess, for Nightmare. He just lives in the Bay Area.
Okay.
So we thought that'd be a great combo.
Oh, yeah.
Because he really was the perspiration behind Nightmare.
Oh, really?
And obviously Coraline.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of a stop motion legend.
Gotcha. And is that going to be like one night only here for that?
Well, that one's going to be big, so it's probably going to be like 3 days. Because
Oh.
several of the artists, they want to do like a painting class
Oh.
where you can kind of paint with them and learn their style. So we may break it up into different events and do them in different areas. And maybe there's an evening event. There's like tomorrow we're doing our breakfast coffee with Kay.
Yeah.
So, because we find that just when we do just the Friday night, we're selling out and there's not enough. We don't have the opportunity. So let's break up the event.
Sure.
So there's more opportunities where there's more one-on-one time.
Nice.
Versus like you have 100 people and it's almost like being at a wedding. And
Yeah.
You heard people were there. I didn't really get to talk to anyone. The food was good. Someone said.
Yeah,
Someone
right.
said. So last night was your VIP event.
Yeah.
And how was that for you? Was that good?
It was great. Yeah, we sold out about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
And it was just high energy. Lots of people. We had one couple who came from Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, they used to live in Sacramento. They moved, but they came back because they wanted to.
Oh, nice.
To come to it. So it's neat to see, people traveling and stuff.
Yeah, that is incredible. And I just, again, as Udi said, I love what you've done down here. I love what you've done with the store. It's awesome, dude. This is like, there's not many things like this around at all. And someone said that this was one of the top 5 Disney galleries.
Yeah,
That was Mercy,
yeah.
Awesome, dude.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah.
There in
Yeah,
Sacramento.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't think about Sacramento, and then honestly, when she said it, I was like, it's kind of crazy. It's right here, and I mean, I come to the store now that I worked at downtown for a little while. And I would drive by. I'm like, I gotta go in, and every time I come in, I always feel like, what's new? What do they got? Let me check it out. And I've been in the store a few times since last time we came to talk to you. So it's always great to see what you have going on in the store, and then for sure trying to take people through it. Like I have a guy that I work with who had never been, like, he ever been in Stage 9, had no idea, and he's from the area, and I'm like, oh, come on. So I grabbed him. I was like, we're gonna walk, and I walked him up and down the store and trying to tell him, like,
great.
and since talking to you, talking to you, I'm like, well, because he picked up and was like, well, is this like one big store? And then I kind of began, I'm like, oh, happen to know that I had this conversation. I told him how you started over here, and he's like, that's so cool. So spreading that out about it's such a great place. It was fun. I mean, being able to educate people on such a great location.
Yeah, and I think part of that, we just try to treat especially our art customers, we're not pushy.
Mm-hmm. No.
If you like it, we'll sell it to you, but we're not like hard sell. So we've picked up a lot of customers from all over the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And that's just our style.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you find new Disney artists, by the way?
It's usually like they hear, the Disney universe, they're pretty tight.
Yeah.
And so they just say, oh, you need to, they hear from someone else, and then they'll email us and say, hey, I used to buy from this place, and, we'd like to, work with you and stuff. And so we just had a new customer from Orlando who called us, and, because of the artists, we also treat our art, anyone who comes out here, you're our VIPs.
Yeah.
We take care of you.
Yeah.
But they talk and say, hey, we, heard you were, where were you at? Oh, Stage 9. Oh, and then the artist will give a good word for us.
Well, and that's another compliment to have is to give you, and just the vibe in here, not only here but in your main store, is that it's not like, it's very, very welcoming and very, like, you don't feel like you're coming into a hard sell area. You're coming to a place where you can come and hang out and chill. Like everybody who's just here, we're all cool. Like everybody's just cool and just hanging out. And I love that vibe and creating that. And that's what we try to do in our show is just, hang out. We're talking. I may have just met you, but now we can talk like we've known each other for years. And I like that vibe. And so I love that about your store.
Well, thank you. And that was one of the things with down here is that, we're getting all kinds of people. And this might be people's first time looking at this, or they're, and they may have no plan to get anything. And we love that because we're introducing them to maybe Disney history or art or whatever whatever we're showing down here.
Yeah. So I remember last time when we talked to you last time, we talked a little bit about the things you're looking for in collecting, memorabilia-wise or artifact-wise. Is there anything new that you've come across? I mean, anything that you kind of like, hey, I kind of want to get that, or have you acquired anything that, I mean, you said there's a lot more that you don't have in here. So is there something that new that you've come across or have acquired as of late?
Well, 3 of the newest pieces is the doors from
that's
City
great.
Hall,
I walked,
the animatronic A1, dates back to the World's Fair. And then probably my favorite, because I love anything that Walt touched, was part of it, is probably the microphone stand.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That
Now,
is
That
amazing.
one right there?
Yeah.
Now there's a photo down below of Walt at that stand at the 10th Centennial at the Disneyland Hotel so it was 1965. And actually, before you guys go, we have a remote and there's a recording of the speech you can hear
Oh, cool.
that he gave on that mic.
Okay, we're going to have to record that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great because it was a year before he passed.
Yeah.
You know, and he was saying, and and you'll hear it. And he's like, I don't want people to be thinking we're resting on our laurels. We've just gotten started.
Yeah.
You know, and just think if he was around longer, what
Oh,
else
man.
he would have dreamt up.
Yeah, I often thought about that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But he was, driving hard for so long. You know.
No, and somebody asked me this week, like, why do I look up to Walt? And because it was kind of an intense conversation about where we are in the world, and I kind of went, look, you got to look up to people for what they did. Okay, there are a lot of people who are going to say whatever, but you look at what they did, and you can always look at Walt and looked at exactly like you said, he was driving and moving, and how much he did out of will alone. The unwavering will to get it done.
Yeah.
And he found he did what he needed to do. Hey, that's not going to work out this way? Well, then I guess I'll just do it that way. And the inspiration that people can find in him. So that's why, I love that. Thinking about that microphone stand, it makes me think about that. Like, even though he passed a year later, that legacy of that still resonates with so many people, especially with me. So I don't know, I'm going to get emotional thinking about that because how much I look up to what he did and what he contributed to not only our country but to the world as a whole. Yeah.
And I love that quote he had of, and I have it on my desk of, it's kind of fun to do the impossible.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
there are so many things that people would say you can't do that, or that's not, or a theme park that'll be a failure.
Yeah, for
Walt
sure.
Disney's Folly.
Disney's Folly.
Disney's
Yeah.
Folly.
Yeah. Well, and then looking at what you've done with this place, I'm sure you've had those moments in time where you're like,
some
oh no,
setbacks,
I'm going to do this, and clearly look at what you've built. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a small scale, obviously, but
Yeah.
I do like when people tell me I can't, or
Oh yeah.
that can't happen.
Yeah.
Like a
absolutely.
challenge. Like
challenge.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fighting words.
Yeah.
The fighting
There we
words. Yeah, it's fighting words. But no, dude. I mean, you built this into some spot for future events. I mean, I could just see it. I mean, this could go on for years and years and years of of special events, special book signings, special whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a great venue, and you didn't have that bar there last time, right?
No, we made the back part was over. We made the front part. And
I remember the back part. You had it down here.
We're really lucky. We our other company, Stage 9 Exhibits, and we build museum exhibits. We have this whole crew that we have a weld shop and a wood shop, and so it's really great. We can give a project, and they'll just get all excited and they're like, well, we'll make a bar and we'll do this.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
they can just, they did most of the work in here. So it was fun because we're always building projects for other people. So it was fun to do something for ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they made all these beams and made these walnut tops and the stone work, and they were having a great time.
Oh man.
It feels like we're at Disneyland, like in maybe Fantasyland right now.
Yeah, like you have that. The vibe is all there.
Yep. Jeez, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Right on, Troy. You've done well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Well,
you.
I
Yeah.
really enjoy having you guys here.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. Thanks for allowing us to come down here again.
Yeah.
And anytime we can help out, or just
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I don't know what kind of help we can provide, but anytime we can get involved in any of these things, we would love to.
Oh yeah.
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 And then we'll have to have you listen to Walt's speech over there.
Oh no, I want to go do that. Yeah.
let's go do that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So listeners, come check out Stage 9 in Old Town Sacramento, because there's a little bit of a difference.
A bit.
Even if not for this weekend, come down anytime you're in the area.
Yeah.
Troy may or may not be here, but you can come downstairs. Is the vault always open?
So right now it's open Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
And obviously the upstairs is open all the time.
Yep.
But the underground part,
Yeah.
it's open Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're working to get it open longer.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the exhibit will stay intact until September 10th.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So you have some time to come down and see it, bring
Yeah.
a friend.
Yeah.
bring a
Absolutely.
friend. Absolutely.
Make it a date night.
Oh yeah. Totally. Oh no, that would work. Yeah.
Yep. All right, dude. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Thank you.
Thank
guys
you.
Have a great
All
day.
right.
Thank
All
you.
right.
You too. All right, LTB listeners, that was the show. We just finished with Troy Carlson, the owner of Stage 9 here in Old Town Sacramento. But we're going to wrap up the show. This is going to end up being episode number 178.
Yeah.
A little bit of a departure from our usual format, but that's okay. Quick thoughts, Udi, from today?
Well, I kind of said it before, and I'm going to, and I always say this, and this continues to prove it, that Disney and Walt and everything that he did helped put all these kind of things together, helped bring people together. In a world right now where you don't feel that way, these are the things that help reinvigorate my mind, my spirit, however you want to put it, that we can all come together and, under certain banners and certain things that we can.
Sure.
So having people like Troy, all the wonderful, I mean,
Tanya, Kay, Michael, Marcy.
Tanya, I don't know. I'm speechless at that level of understanding what these people contributed to our pop culture, our lives, and how they all contributed. So, I appreciate the hell out of people like Troy, who work and endeavor, not only for the monetary gain, but really out of the love of doing this and being able to spread such a positive message across the country, the world overall. So I'm incredibly grateful for him. All the great people. Marcy, always a pleasure to have and sit down and talk to just amazing individuals. And that's like we always say, we've had the opportunity to meet some amazing people because of this. And and I'm grateful for that. So this is amazing. Again, 7 years ago, never would have thought that this is where we would be, and how many people we've talked to, and how many great friendships we've made. So,
but you are stoked that you've taken this journey.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I harken back and thinking to myself, what if I would have said no?
Yeah, a lot of things would be different for you.
A lot of things would be different for me, especially me. So
yeah.
Not to get too existential on it, I'm just going to say when the stuff comes up, and the moment says yes, go. Just go.
Yeah.
So this is just a reinforcement of all that. Just a great 3-4 hours that we've been here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to echo Udi's sentiments on that as well. Sentiments. I said sentiments, right?
Yep.
Sentiments. Sorry, it's been a long
Sentiment.
day. Like I said, the weight of talking to Tanya earlier hasn't fully hit me yet, but that was Disneyland history right there.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking to someone who has a one-to-one direction, working with knowledge with Walt, and all these Imagineers we've talked about.
Yeah.
I can't get my mind around that.
No.
But, I had mentioned before that when I talk about we do a Disneyland podcast, Disneyland, whatever, if people kind of make fun of it a little bit, but it just reaffirms me like today that this is the right thing we should be doing, because I'm so excited about going to Disneyland and Disney World and checking out and just being part of this group of people. And everyone we've met today was so cool.
Amazing.
Dude, how cool is
Everybody.
Michael?
Yeah, that guy is so cool. Like you said, like I want to go sit down and have a beer with this guy and talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That guy's cool.
Absolutely cool guy.
And just everyone that's in this Disney family is just great. And like I said, I'm very fortunate that we can do this, and I'm very fortunate that we can share it with everyone else as well.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping our excitement translates through this podcast for today, because this is something you don't get to do this very often. Yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, guys and girls, listeners, this is going to wrap up episode number 178. 179 is going to come again
Right on the heels.
Right on the heels. We're
Yeah.
going to have Jay Bratton to come on and talk about some food in
Yeah.
DCA. Talk about maybe some drinking in Disneyland. We'll see how that goes.
Well, how that goes, yeah.
Yep. But we look forward to hearing from him. Until then, thank you so much for listening. You can find out more about us on Instagram at leavingtodaypodcast.com. Send us an email at info@leavingtodaypodcast.com. And there you can support the show with Patreon. Is where their Udi's available at hackscully.com. Or sorry, hackscully on Instagram.
Yep.
Okay.
And Twitter.
And Twitter. You guys know all the rituals by now,
Yep.
but we want to make it short because we're going to wrap it up. We've been here for like 5 hours now.
Yeah, we're
Almost
we're
5
coming
hours.
up.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
All right. We love you. Adventures out there, and we'll see you in the parks.
See you.
I didn't know what time you guys were starting. Good to see you.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
How have you been? I'm doing good.
Good.
We just interviewed Tony, and I've got chills. I honestly.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, that's nice. I know. It's like she's a big guest, and she loves doing podcasts. So she's like, we probably got the stories now.
Oh,
We got a couple.
Yeah, we were told only like 4 or 5 minutes, but we were there for 15 minutes talking to her.
Yeah, you will not have a problem there. It's like good. Okay, cool. So I'm so glad this worked out. When you said I want to be there, I figured you had to connect with Troy, and he made it happen.
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'm gonna go check in with these guys, and then are you just telling me you're here for?
We'll first step on so.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me when you want. Okay.
So
Thank you for having my pals here.
Yeah. No, they're my house.
You're my house.
Yes.
So as I recall, it was on my Instagram piece of this, and I said, I don't think there was any Troy.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, I'll see if I can, pull some connections.
Yep.
So, as you guys are available, just
Okay, yes.
Yeah, we're hanging out.
I already did it. Have my
Perfect. Okay, great.
open up.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So how is this going to work? You guys, you do like a talk and all that?
No talk. It's just that now yesterday's was the talks, and then tomorrow is breakfast with Kay. Kay's going to speak, and then if they meet Phil, I will speak. This is just people today and tomorrow. It's just you buy things and get excited. So there's no talking. This is sort of a meeting.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
Boy, was my face red.